Well, and good morning. It is a... We got to get that music down. There we go. Thank you. Yes, early, quick start today because it is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio, and we got a lot to do on the program. A little bit later on, we're going to talk. We make a trip to Bowie, catch up with Seth Johnson. Also this morning, Gregg Olson joins us, and Jeffri Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com. But we're not going to waste any time at all, because not only is our first guest this morning pitching like an all-star this season, but he's pitching in like a superstar, like a Hall of Famer, because he continues to do incredible things, he and his wife, for the animals in our community. And today, pitching in for pups, 3:30 to 6 p.m. at BARCS. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the program Orioles pitcher Cole Irvin, who's back with us here on GCR. Cole, it's Glenn. It's always good to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, no problem, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Dude, you guys are incredible. I mean, like, I don't even have the words for this. The story that we all heard about last week with this puppy mill and these dogs that badly needed help. Was there even like a second thought for you, or is that just where your guys' hearts are, where you're like, look, we are going to do anything at all that we have to do to make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, the second I saw it come across my timeline, it really hit home for me. We have the first dog that we rescued was part of a puppy mill raid in an Amish community in Philadelphia. And he was actually found down the road after the raid had happened. So it hit home really fast for me. And all of our animals are rescues. So, you know, the chance that we got to step in and, you know, pitch in our way and do our part, that was the most important thing, was just being able to make an impact in any way that we could, and just to truly just make a presence felt at the shelter, because they were already at capacity by the time this happened. So, and knowing all that, it was just easy for us to just flip the switch and kick it into hyperspeed mode to get this thing going for the off day today.
So for folks that don't know where this comes from for you and for your wife, and why it is that it means so much to the two of you to take care of animals, can you remind everybody what the background is and why it is such a passion for you all?
Yeah, I mean, so when me and my wife met, about 6 months into our relationship, we got Rocky, who I shared was a puppy mill dog. And the next two dogs we had were both rescues as well. They were kind of a puppy mill breeding situation, and they were delivered to us in laundry baskets. And then the other two dogs, not necessarily that situation, but one of them we believe was a bait dog for bigger dogs and to pick on and stuff like that. And we have a horse we rescued from the kill pen that ended up having a baby last year. So we are just so blessed and happy to have these dogs in our life. They have completely changed the way we see animals, and how much compassion and joy they give to you tenfold back after they've learned that they are going to be safe and protected and loved. So that's why it hits home really, really hard for us. And that's why we wanted to step in and do something and really give people the chance to help the community with BARCS Animal Shelter, and just, you know, maybe save a life, maybe donate, but it just feels good to just help in any way we can.
So I know I told you this before, but I work hand in hand with Show Your Soft Side, and of course that's the charity arm of BARCS, and I can't begin to explain what you're doing means for this entire community, and it is incredibly powerful. I want to remind everybody today, 3:30 to 6 p.m. at BARCS, stop by. They have an emergency wish list. And Cole shared it on his Twitter account this morning. We're going to retweet that again right now if you go to Glenn Clark Radio, but you can go to Swervin_Irvin19. And there are all sorts of items on this wish list, including crates and metal buckets and puppy pads, and then things just like hot dogs and cream cheese for taking care of feeding all of these many puppies right now, paper towels, latex gloves, baby wipes, things along those lines. Bring a donation of any of the items from that list today, and you can meet and get an autograph from Cole Irvin today from 3:30 to 6 at BARCS, which is just, dude, I am humbled by this and what you all are doing, and I know that for you it probably seems like, hey, this is the easy part, it's a small thing, but I hope you know how much hope it's giving to a lot of people and how powerful a statement it is that you and your wife are making when you do stuff like this.
Yeah, no, I just, hope that we have a good showing today and come out, bring your smiles. And, on top of all that, if, the last thing that we are giving away is if you do sign up to foster in this, during this event up until Sunday, you have a chance to win an awesome Orioles prize pack that involves two tickets to a game, BP passes, signed memorabilia, and a few other Orioles gifts that we're finalizing and putting together that will be more of a surprise. So if you can do that and do a little extra, it would go a long way. But outside of all that, just bring your smiles. Can't wait to see everyone at the event today at 3:30, and it'll be fun.
That's awesome, man. Can I ask you how it feels to be doing this when you're also, I don't know, like lighting the world on fire on the mound? Like, how just I know that we talked in the spring and I know that you felt good, man, but did you know this was coming?
No, I had no idea. I mean, my job is easy. 60 feet 6 inches. About 100 pitches a game, and just try to put my best foot forward and enjoy it, and execute pitches where I can, and just try to be the best teammate I can, and help our ball club win, and hopefully do our part and get back to the postseason and bring some more fun to Baltimore.
Can I ask it this way? Everybody goes through doubt, right, in their own lives, and I'm sure that as a professional, you go through some of that when you go through struggles. How did you handle that? I feel like this is such an incredible lesson that people can learn. When you go through doubt, how do you handle that? How do you, manage to not allow that to prevail and to creep in so much so that you can come out on the other side and, pitch so brilliantly?
I think it has a lot to do with understanding that I am going to fail. Accepting that first is the hardest part to do. But accepting failure first is kind of how I deal with things that are out of my control. Like moving around, from the starting rotation to the bullpen to maybe getting options like last season. Yeah. There were so many uncontrollable factors, maybe based on performance, maybe not, but there's a lot of things in our life that we can't control. And so as long as you have a routine, a rhythm, a podcast that you enjoy listening to, or a TV show you enjoy, like finding something consistent that brings you joy, brings you happiness, for me, like dogs, like this event this weekend. Yeah. And I'm serious when I say like those things, those small little intangible things, that you can't really see on a baseball field, really kind of have affected, my performance this year. Is just understanding that I can't control some things, keeping my headspace in the right spot to be consistent every day, be a good teammate. And so it's just trying to enjoy the moments with these guys, enjoy the moments with these fans, and just really just get the work done. And there's going to be things out of your control. You just got to be okay with it. And sometimes it happens, and that's life. And you just kind of push it to the side, be like, okay, yeah, it happened. I can't control that. How do we make the best of this situation?
Was there a podcast or a TV show or something like that for you? Was there you mentioned animals obviously, but was there something along those lines that you turned to keep your mental health in the right place?
Yeah, I actually call the Success Hotline every day. You can also find it on Apple Podcasts. But the Success Hotline is really good, and kind of just challenging yourself with different thoughts, different kind of mental equations that provide success. But also, my mental skills coach, Brian Kane, has a daily, just a 3 to 5 minute little blurb of just how you can start your day and impact your day with this motivational thought.
Wow.
And it's really quick. It's really easy. Brian Kane, he's my mental skills coach. He does a lot of big leaguers, MMA fighters, among many other athletes, golfers. And so he's very, very talented, but also, it's free information, and you can't quantify how it can affect people, when it's free. So try to share it as much as possible.
I mean, that's incredible. I appreciate you sharing that because I feel like there's going to be some people that are going to go check it out. Again, Cole Irvin is with us. The event today is at BARCS from 3:30 to 6. Cole, the curveball, the confidence in the curveball, where did that come from?
Well, I want to make I'm going to clear the record here. It's actually my slider.
Okay.
And then my curveball, I've been getting a lot more strikeouts. So the strikeouts you've been seeing on spin has been more of the curveball.
Yeah.
The slider has been more of the strike pitch.
Okay.
Just so it's out there.
Yep.
Because on the board and on Baseball Savant, it's tagged as curveball.
Right.
So if that's messing with the hitters, good. Let's keep it up. Let's don't change a thing.
Yeah, maybe we don't go on the record. Maybe we take that back off the record.
Yeah, but I just wanted to clear that up. But it's good. It's really good. The confidence, was there in spring training. I just had problems landing it for a strike because it was a new grip change that I did this off season. And I was more so focused on the effort behind the pitch than I was the actual location of it. So during spring, I was really kind of fine-tuning how do I get the most consistency out of the pitch. And as soon as we got to the first start of the year, it was I really cleaned it up. And so that confidence has grown with that pitch. There's still things that I would like to, add to it, but I mean, it's been a great pitch for me. I've been able to rely on it. It doesn't feel like I'm throwing anything different, off of my fastball, which is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't throw in my warm-up pitches. If anyone pays attention, in between innings, I don't throw any spin in between pitches.
Why is that?
Always
Cole?
It's always because my pitching coach back in high school, he goes, well, everything we throw is off of the fastball. So why do we want to feel anything? Why do we want to feel anything different than the feeling of a fastball? It's the most consistent release we're going to have. We're going to throw a majority of fastballs in a game. More than 50% of our pitches are typically fastballs. So with that being in mind, I want my fastball to feel the best. And then my changeup, arguably my second best offering, is off of the fastball as well. So I've always struggled with spin. And now this grip allows me to feel that fastball arm slot. And I feel like I'm just throwing the same thing every time. So I don't feel like I'm manipulating my arm or manipulating my fingers out front. And so I've always thrown fastballs in between innings because that's going to make me the most consistent I can, every inning.
Wow, man, that is fascinating, right? And so you don't feel like it's, when you say manipulating your arm, does it feel like, as far as like soreness goes, things like that, it feels the exact same after you throw the pitch?
Yeah. I don't feel anything different. Maybe a little, release at the end, but that's about it. Like, it's not anything different off of my fastball. And that's, again, why I think I found success with it, is because it's the first time in terms of grip changes that I haven't felt like I needed to change anything to be able to throw it for a strike or throw it for, strike to ball.
That's cool, man. That's so cool. Dude, I could nerd out with you about this for like hours. That's such a cool thing. Can I ask, there's this picture that Jacob Calvin-Meyer shared of last night after Gunnar hit the grand slam. And it cuts to you guys in the dugout, and you're losing your mind. And I just, the joy of all of this. And I know you got to experience Avi a year ago, but probably a little bit different because you weren't having the level of success that I know you wanted to have. The joy of pitching the way that you're pitching and being a part of this team and having moments like that, and on Monday where the stadium's packed, can you describe what that feels like for you as a baseball player?
I don't know if I can put it into words. That might be the toughest thing to do, but I will say this. If you packed a room full of your best friends, and a classroom full of your best friends, and you guys did trick stunts in that classroom all day and just hung out, made stupid noises, whatever it may be, but you do that all day. And then you finally hit the trick shot you've been trying to hit. Everyone goes nuts, right?
Yeah, right?
That's, to me, the feeling of coming to the ballpark and watching our guys go every night. And then you add the fan base on top of it. It was incredible. Memorial Day was such a special day for my love of those who have served, and to be able to share that moment of taps with the fans. To be able to just, hear the roar of the crowd. I mean, there's no better feeling. I will say this, last year I was on the baseline, for playoffs. And when I heard that O for the first time, in a playoff environment, I got goosebumps talking about it right now. There's plenty of those moments throughout the season with our fan base. There's plenty of those moments with my teammates about, how well they're playing. And it's such a great environment, and I love this city. It's been a blast to be here.
Man, you're giving me goosebumps just talking about it right now. May there be a lot more of those, maybe a trip to the All-Star game in between. We'd like all of that. And right now what we'd really like is for you all to be there this afternoon, starting at 3:30 at BARCS for the pitch-in. Cole will be there. Bring these events these items on the wish list, and you can meet and get a picture autograph with Cole Irvin today at BARCS. And again, adopt a dog this weekend. Tell them how much joy it's going to bring to their lives, Cole, when they adopt this weekend.
You won't regret it. It's a life decision. You won't regret it. It's going to be it's the best decision you'll ever make. I promise. Bring your kids. Everyone is welcome to this event. I'm really excited to share it with everyone, and just really looking forward to it.
Cole, I'm so grateful for you and your wife and what you're doing for our community, and I'm so happy for you and all the success that you are having, man. Thank you, as always, for taking the time for us, and let's chat again real soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Glenn.
Cole Irvin with us here on GCR. That's the good S. That's what we call that. That's the good S. That's when someone gets it. Man, it don't beat that. It don't beat it when the guys that you root for are the guys that are stepping up and doing the things. That's everything that we want as a sports fan. That's it right there. That's what you hope for. Guys are successful, and they do everything they can for the community. I actually happen to know that our buddy Malik Ham did a photo shoot yesterday for Show Your Soft Side, which I was really happy about. Local guy that wants to be a part of the community and wants to do things for his hometown. Bless you, Cole Irvin. Thank you to you and to your wife for stepping up and making that commitment to our city and to animals that need it. And I can't encourage you enough. Get over to BARCS today, starting at 3:30. I don't know if you heard Cole Irvin's pitching to a sub-3. Are you familiar with that? You know how Cole Irvin's doing this season? You see how many stars are next to Cole Irvin?
Does he have the most?
Well, it is about to be a tie.
Oh, it's about to be a tie. Okay.
Yeah, it's about to be a tie because we got to
we
adjust
just
for
ignore
last
that?
night. Yeah, we could. We could just pretend like it's still Cole by him. You see how 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stars next to his name.
And he's like directly behind your head. We actually haven't seen him
yeah,
yet.
you can't see it.
There
Sorry.
we go. There we go. There he is. There
That's
he is.
Cole Irvin right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's some other guys that have 3. Jordan Westberg's had a nice season. He's got 3. Corbin Burnes, man, I was tough last night. I don't know what else there's to say about Cole Irvin, man. That really is. I get emotional about that type of stuff because you do this, you get to know guys. That really is everything that you can ask for, everything of a professional athlete in your community. If he wasn't pitching as well as he's pitching, it would still be incredible, right? Like, you would still be grateful. We talked about this with Kyle Gibson last year. Kyle Gibson was everything you could ask for. Just, not quite everything you could ask for as a pitcher. But as an athlete, everything you could ask for. And I was grateful for that. Because that's the type of stuff that means the world to me. You come to a community, especially when it's not yours. You come to a community, you ingratiate yourself, you say, what can I do? How can I use my platform? How can I use my voice to lift up this community? That's the pinnacle. And you get to know these guys. Ronnie Stanley's been doing it with animals in our community for years. And it's not just animals. Whatever somebody's cause is, somebody who comes into a community and says, what can I do for you? And by the way, just happens to be having the season of his life. Jesus, man. I saw there was a number in his, because obviously he had a rough outing out of the bullpen, but God, what was the number that I saw for his last 5 starts? He's pitching to. You want to guess what his ERA is over his last 5 starts?
Just the starts.
It's 5 starts. ERA over his last 5 starts.
I mean, because I feel like there's been only one of those he's allowed runs. I'm gonna say 1-2.
How about half of that?
Oh my God.
0.59. Over his last 5 starts. And again, obviously the outing in St. Louis, but I guess maybe what they're learning is that he can't be the guy that goes when they have to skip a rotation spot. It's going to have to be somebody else. Jesus. All right, yes, sorry. I get emotional. I really do, because that really is meaningful to me. And that's everything that you ask of in an athlete. So bless you, Cole Irvin. Thank you for stepping up that way. Bless you, Gunnar Henderson, for hitting the grand slam last night. Bless you, Corbin Burnes. I was, it's so funny. We just had the conversation after Corbin Burnes' last start where there's always someone who yells out, I don't understand why you got to go after 6 innings. He's supposed to be the ace. He's supposed to be the. Well, of course, the Orioles would like that ace to be pitching for them through the end of October. That's the thought process. They want that guy to be on the mound until the World Series is over. And coming into last night, my buddy Spencer Schultz had reminded me that Corbin Burnes was on pace to go 20 innings past his career high in innings before the playoffs. So I had no issue with the idea that Corbin Burnes was going 6 innings per start. You knew exactly what you were getting, right? 6 innings, 3 runs or less, every time. That smells like ace to me. So when Corbin Burnes was out there struggling a little bit in the 7th inning last night, I was a little bit surprised. And I couldn't figure out if that was more a condemnation of the Orioles bullpen. We just don't trust anyone to come in here and clean this up right now. Or if it was a determined thing that they had talked about with Corbin Burnes, come hell or high water tonight, we want to get the pitch count up over. I don't know. But to go to 108 pitches last night was wild, Jack. Particularly when he really was struggling in the 7th inning with 2 runners on base. That was ballsy stuff. It was ballsy stuff. And it made it very difficult for me because, after Gunnar Henderson hits the grand slam, you're like, well, obviously that's your man of the match. You're not doing better than hitting a grand slam. But then Corbin Burnes goes 7 innings.
And because of the way the 7th went, I felt like it had to be.
It's Gunnar Henderson.
Oh.
It's Gunnar Henderson.
What?
Yeah. in that spot after the Orioles, after what had happened in the I think we all were feeling the exact same way in the top of the second inning. Like, dude, this is not the night. Like, it is just, they're throwing the ball everywhere. You just sort of had that feeling. Now, give Ramon Arias, add his name to the list. The moment you're convinced someone's roster spot is done, the moment. And Cole's been on this list, right? The moment you think there is no longer any justification. And I said it probably 10 times yesterday between here and Twitter. Because there are the people that every time I disagree with something, the people that think that I'm a Brandon Hyde apologist. I'm like, no, I think that Brandon Hyde does a good job because the team wins constantly. And I think that your obsession with if you just do this other thing, it'll work, is pathetic and lame. I think when the numbers suggest overwhelmingly that you should do something, and that's what the manager does, I'm not going to beat him up when that thing doesn't work because the logic is flawless. Your theory is reckless. But I don't just agree with everything. And as I said about 1 million times yesterday, the people that I don't agree with Ramon Arias being on the roster. Or I didn't. I don't know what to do with it after last night. Give him credit, but it just felt like this team badly needed a jolt, as it really did feel early on like they were sleepwalking. Like they were, it was a kind of a dreary Wednesday, and it just didn't look like they had it. And it looked like it was going to be another night maybe where, Corbin Burnes pitches well, but maybe you don't give him the run support. That's been a common theme this season. And then just throwing the ball all over the field. Like it was little league stuff in the second inning. I mean, little league. So that jolt from Gunnar Henderson, as good as Corbin Burnes was, and my God, was he good, I ended up defaulting back to Gunnar as man of the match. So Gunnar gets his 4th star for the season, ties Cole Irvin for the team lead, moves ahead of Corbin Burnes, Grayson Rodriguez, Jordan Westberg, who also have 3 so far on the year.
Felt like one of those things where Gunnar was like, I made an error in the,
I got to make up for it, right? Yeah, this happens. Should have been here on Tuesday when we had to put 5 men of the match up on the board. I actually did that before the show on Tuesday.
Look at that. We did a little.
I said I'm not going to.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to let this bleed into the program where we spend 20 minutes trying to put men of the match up on the board.
Quick recap of each game.
Yeah, it's actually what we ended up doing largely. I was like, all right, look up at the board. Here's the, that's the way it went. But, yes, Gunnar Henderson gets a 4th star on his
ledger.
Yep. And he was man of the match for last night. The Orioles win the series against the Red Sox. And that streak continues, having not lost a series in the division. I don't want to say division series because they, lost their division series, but a series within the division since last April, which is, that's also, it's one of those things, much like the sweepless streak, that you don't know exactly what it means, but it sure ain't bad. That's what all you know about this streak of having won series within divisions, or within the division, that it ain't a bad thing. There's no doubt about that. They have actually the next 3 series are all also series within the division, including Tampa visiting this weekend, starting on Friday night. Birds are off tonight. There was a lot of consternation about the fact that Kyle Stowers wasn't in the lineup last night. Cutter Crawford's numbers, oddly, right-handers have hit him better. And it was a weird lineup last night in that way, right? Like Ramon Arias was in it, but that might just be because Jordan Westberg was hurt. Like in hindsight, that might be nothing other. When you saw Ramon Arias in the lineup, you were like, I get it. They want another righty in the lineup. But then why wouldn't they have what is this lineup? I don't know what to make of this. But obviously it worked.
Yeah.
So there's no
stacking Adley off days. So yeah,
it goes back to the look, and it was a brutal night for Cedric Mullins. Obviously, couldn't get the bunt down. They've all been brutal nights, and it goes back into the conversation about Right now, Kyle Stowers is hitting. Fortunately, most of your other outfielders aren't. So I get the argument from Orioles fans. This is the thing that I think people are disappointed by. I'm not always going to defend. I agree. I think Kyle Stowers should have been in the lineup last night, given what the numbers said. And I see why it is that you think that Kyle Stowers deserves more playing time. Am I confident that Kyle Stowers is going to be a starter for the rest of the season and is going to no, but I get it. Like, he's hit a little bit recently, so let's see if he can't ride that out. And how you measure that versus desperately trying to get guys going that you know are better than the way that they've performed, or they're at least capable of being better than the way that they've performed, whether that's, the short sample size that you saw from Colton Cowser earlier this year, or whether that's, Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander. This is where I acknowledge it's more difficult. There is no simple answer to just always say, well, you always put the hot hand in the lineup. It ain't that simplistic, no matter how much you want it to be that way. It's not. But I get it. Last night, uniquely, I probably would have liked to have seen Kyle Stowers in the lineup. That said, worked out just fine. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't have that answer, and I don't know if anybody asked him about it, because I don't think it's that pressing. And certainly after the game, it sure as hell wasn't that pressing because the Orioles won. So all's good there. Off today, start the series tomorrow night. Clearly, they did not just choose to shuttle Keegan Aiken back to Norfolk. I guess that's, again, they'll ride it out a little bit longer, and I don't know what the number of brutal appearances is before you make that move, and I get it. Like, within baseball, guys have ups and downs and things. That's a tough conversation, because I also, as I said yesterday, would have been inclined, in a perfect world, you flip-flop Keegan Aiken for Nick Vespi, but that's not an option right now. So with that not being an option, maybe the answer is Keegan Aiken has until the 10 days are up for Nick Vespi to prove that he can stabilize. And if he doesn't in that time frame, then maybe they'll make that move then. I don't know. But it's veering into that territory. And that's still difficult, because until a week ago, Keegan Aiken had been great. And I say it's a week ago. I guess at this point, it's 10 days, something like that. Until that point, Keegan Aiken had been really good and really helpful. So it's always difficult to measure how much do you put on the 10 days versus the entirety of what you saw before that. With an option, and that's the other tricky part too, is they really do like having pitchers that have options on the roster in case they have to make a certain move. But with an option available, I'm not riding out much past, it's been 3 bad outings, right, for Keegan Aiken now? I ain't riding it out a lot past that. I mean, I guess Craig Kimbrell got 3 bad outings. I guess everybody gets 3 bad outings, I think is the number, but I'm not riding it much past that. All right, that's the Orioles conversation. I don't think they're going to bring back Jorge Lopez. I think they're going to pass on that. I think they're going to.
I mean, why not? I guess
if he wants to sign a minor league deal, you're saying, if he wants to.
I guess that that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to sign a minor league deal, this is the bummer too. Is the conversations we had with Jorge. I really liked Jorge.
Yeah, he was great.
He was a really nice guy, and I know that he opened up about some of his mental health issues. I don't know what to make of that thing yesterday. Guys get frustrated. That happens. It's one thing if he threw he didn't do what Patrick Beverly did. I mean, really,
throwing a ball overhand. Yeah.
Patrick Beverly threw a ball at a fan with intent, and I think he got a 3-game suspension, which is a joke.
Did they suspend it? They said the rest of the season, and they had 2 games in the series or something.
No, it's for next year.
Oh, really? That was it? So they did.
Yeah, it's a 3-game. I gotta make sure that I
thought they said right. For the rest of the season, and the series
Patrick
was
Beverly suspension. I'm pretty sure it was basically nothing, and it was laughable.
Well, that's what I mean.
4 games.
Okay. All right.
4 games.
And then it'll
4 games for throwing a basketball with intent at a fan.
Twice.
And we're just sort of like not talking about it. That's not what Jorge Lopez did. I don't know how to describe what he did. I get why we're all calling it a meltdown because we've just never seen anything like it before. But he didn't throw it in anger trying to hurt someone or anything like that. He just tossed the glove up in the air, which is weird. I mean, somebody went home with a souvenir, I suppose. Like
Nice
a
souvenir.
very unique souvenir. A souvenir unlike anything anyone's ever gotten from a game before. Like that's part of what Jorge Lopez has. I don't know what to make. And again, after the game, there was the weird thing where he either said he was the worst teammate in all of the worst effing teammate in all of baseball, or the worst team. And then somebody tried to follow up with him, like, "Hey man, I missed that. What did you say? Did you say the worst effing team?" And he didn't deny that, but like the audio definitely makes it seem like that's not what he said. So I get why the Mets DFA'd him. Like, clearly there's something going on there. To the point, yeah, if Jorge Lopez wants to sign a minor league deal, I guess, sure, go ahead. Let him sign a minor league deal. I think that right now they probably would feel like Jorge Lopez could use a little time.
Yeah, Norfolk. Yeah.
I don't know if Norfolk's the place. Could probably use the
Billy. That'd be closer.
Probably talk to Cole Irvin about his podcast and how it is that can help him. That was a hell of a scene. Things are going great for the Mets. Just couldn't be going better up in New York. Everybody's having a good time.
That was the best part. Is like, well, even if he did say this is the worst effing team, well,
is he wrong?
Yeah.
Right? But I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure the audio
either.
says he's the
so
worst
either.
effing teammate, which probably is not the headspace you want a guy to be in to bring him into your organization. Probably not where you want
Well,
someone
he was like,
to be.
I look like the worst effing teammate, and which I guess is true. Like I feel like it was him kind of acknowledging his overreaction. And
It's a very weird thing, man. Very weird thing. And
it
it's
was
such a
tough.
bummer, too, because, again, I like Jorge Lopez. He's every conversation I've had with him, he's been a really good guy.
I mean, and also like it looked like it was a ridiculous ejection too. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know what happened leading up to that, but
I don't know, man. Very, 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 very weird. Got no help from the Angels last night. Thanks for nothing, jerks. They booted the ball around late and gave up a little league home run that helped the Yankees win, I think 2-1. Thriller out in Anaheim. So no thanks to you. No thanks to you whatsoever.
Man, it's still May and we're doing that now. Just
yeah.
I guess.
I mean, once the Orioles game is over, particularly because there was no basketball last night. Although I did watch the hockey. I watched hockey last night. Glenn Clark, for the first time all postseason, viewed the hockey. I watched.
What do you think of my Oilers?
It was it was 2-2 when I tuned it in, and they were going. I didn't know they were down 2-0.
Yeah.
It was 2-2, and I tuned in right when they were going. When Dallas was going on the power play, and the Oilers scored shorthanded instead, which was wild. Like that was wild, Jack, and that building was nuts, man. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool. It was good. It was good hockey. Good hockey last night. In on the hockey.
Well done, hockey.
I enjoy that. Thank you, hockey. I enjoyed you last evening. I did. It was the first time all postseason I spent some time with some hockey, and I enjoy. I love playoff hockey. It's the thing I keep saying. It's not like I'm doing this purposely. It's just that it's Orioles. Well, right now, French Open, Orioles.
Above the Orioles,
dude. I love what I love. French Open, Orioles, basketball, hockey. So it's just been hard to get to the fourth on the list. But then after the hockey game was over, I actually watched Sports Center. A weird bit that was. I was working on a project last night that it's been taking some time to get finished for the next print issue of Press Box, and I was hell-bent on finishing it last. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I'm like, it's finishing tonight, which is good because I think I got 4 hours of sleep by the time I got to bed at about 3:00 so that I could finish this project last night. So I was in tune with what was going on in sports. I could tell you who won the women's hockey league championship. The Game 5 was last night.
Really?
Yeah. You want to guess? You want to guess?
Pittsburgh.
Not Pittsburgh.
New England.
It's Boston, but they played. They lost Game 5.
to Cleveland.
Not to Cleveland.
Because it was Carolina.
Of course it was not Carolina.
Then because it was Minnesota.
Minnesota!
That should be my very
Nailed
first
it. Minnesota. Congratulations to them. Apparently, it was crazy. In Game 4 of the finals, they thought they had scored an overtime game winner, and everybody rushed the ice, and everybody threw their sticks and their gloves in the air and the whole thing, and then they wiped the goal off on review. And it was like, they had to go clean up all the mess on the ice because they thought they had just won the championship. And then they ended up losing Game 4 and had to play a Game 5. But they won Game 5 in Boston. So I'm all over it. I'm in tune with sports today. I can tell you what's going on. The Yankees lost. And that's the thing, too. If I'm not paying attention, I don't care. But then I was paying attention last night. And Scott Van Pelt was giving updates because they were playing on the West Coast, right? And so you're like, all right, they got a shot. Oh, son of a bitch.
So you saw Mike Bauman got a win for the Mariners?
I did not see that. Believe it or not, they didn't spend a lot of time on the Mariners game on Sports Center. Didn't really spend a whole lot of time on that one. All right, we come back in. Today's show, by the way, is brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone. Anything that you missed from championship season, baseball, softball, lacrosse, all of the champions and all of the results can be found at countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. We come back in. Jeffri Chadiha says the Ravens have the second best chance of anyone in the NFL of dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs. He'll explain why next on Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Thanks again to Cole Irvin for joining us bright and early this morning. Today's show is also brought to you by Sports and Social. It is the best place to watch all of the playoff action, plus big UFC fights. Griffin will probably be telling us about it a little bit later on today. Big UFC card this weekend. You want to check that out? You can watch it. You could pay for the pay-per-view if you want. That's on you. Or you can just show up and hang out at Sports and Social. And if you want to make sure you reserve your spot, if you want a table, you can do it through the Live Casino and Hotel website. Click on the Sports and Social tab. If you want a blue reclining chair, you just got to go to the desk at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel and let them know that you want to reserve a blue reclining chair to watch the fights Saturday night inside Sports and Social, the giant media wall, great food and drink specials, and an atmosphere unlike anything that you'll experience in this area. Everybody's living and dying on every moment because they've all got action on it. It's just the best place. So Sports and Social, Live Casino and Hotel, Maryland. All right, we'll take a little bit of a detour, get into some football conversation this morning. Joining us now, one of our friends, NFL Network, NFL.com. I happened to notice last week that he was ranking the teams that are the biggest threats to the Kansas City Chiefs and dethroning them as Super Bowl champions. And he had the Baltimore Ravens number two. Let him explain it. He's our buddy Jeffri Chadiha from NFL.com, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Jeff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up. Hope you're enjoying your off season. Thanks for taking the time for us as always, man.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Jeff, it's really funny because the Ravens on the whole, their roster has probably taken a step back this offseason, right? Just on the sheer totality of everything they've lost. Jadeveon Clowney, for example, was wildly helpful. And yet, they also have Derrick Henry now. And I'm still like, and there's always like there's a bottom to how far they can fall because if they have a healthy Lamar Jackson, they have a chance. Like I am in a weird place where I do wonder if this might be a team that despite their losses is maybe still in as good, if not a better spot for winning in January than they were a season ago.
Well, that's how I look at it. And really, I mean, I live in Kansas City, and I've watched the Chiefs the last couple of years with people saying, oh, they've lost Tyreek Hill. Oh, they've lost this and that and the other thing. And somehow they found a way to win 2 straight championships. Yeah. So I don't think losing players is the end of the world for any team as long as you have, a great quarterback, which the Ravens have. You've got great coaching. You've got great culture. And I think that's what really sets you apart. And so ultimately, I think they also have great motivation. For my money, they were the best team in football at the end of the year. On paper, they had a better team than the Chiefs, but for a number of reasons, they didn't finish in the AFC Championship game. So I give them a very high ranking just for that. I think they have just enough to get back to that point and possibly win it this time.
What do you make of what this looks like with Derrick Henry? Because, there's been talk about the idea of, hey, we want Derrick Henry to get 300 touches. That's a good thing. I also wonder if, this really is – we're not wildly changing the offense. We just want when we get to the end of the season, we want the guy that can then win time of possession for us and play a better version of January football.
Yeah, that's what I think he brings to it. And I think also he brings a reminder of what this team needs to be in January. I mean, that's still, I'm sure, around those parts.
Yeah, we really don't like talking
about that
Jeff,
game plan.
Can I tell you
the game plan?
Can I tell you how difficult it is? Like every time we're talking about Derrick Henry, because my God, it's Derrick Henry. There's nothing to not like about Derrick Henry. It's Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry sharing a backfield. It checks everybody. You can't stack the box because Derrick Henry is there. Or you have to stack the box because Derrick Henry's there. But if you stack the box and you get Lamar Jackson, every layer of it makes all the sense in the world. And yet we still keep coming back to, but there was no reason why they shouldn't have given those running backs. You didn't need Derrick Henry in order to give the ball to a running back. It's just a tough conversation, man.
No, I get it. That's what I'm trying to tread carefully. I don't want to get too deep down that rabbit hole with you, but I do believe he brings that, an element that they've had there before. Gus Edwards was a big running back. They've had guys like that before. But I think that there is, again, it's a reminder of what they need to be. And it also creates, again, different options for you, not just in the playoffs, but season opener against the Chiefs, a team that really struggled against the run last year. Those games in September, I think people have to start realizing they decide a lot about what happens in January. And sometimes I think we forget that, but that home opener is huge for both those teams because whoever gets it's going to have a huge leg up on seeding come January.
Jeffri Chadiha with us from NFL.com. Jeff, you reference obviously the departure of Mike Macdonald, and I think there's no doubt that we accept Mike Macdonald, the schemer. There was a little special sauce there, right? I still think that you have a Roquan Smith, you have a Kyle Hamilton, you have it. I don't think that you can expect the defense to suddenly bottom out. I do have some concern about the edge rush in general, and it's good to have Van Noy back, but they still need someone to step up. I just don't know, within reason, how far I think that I should expect the defense to regress, even though I do give all of the credit in the world to Mike Macdonald as a play caller and a schemer.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the talent's still there, and again, you're pulling from somebody in Zach Orr, who's been a part of the organization and, again, the culture for a long time. So usually when you do that, you don't get, a huge drop-off. You don't see what happened, within San Francisco, where you bring in Steve Wilkes to replace DeMeco Ryans, and he wants to do things a little bit differently, and then all of a sudden there's some issues along the way. I think Zach Orr will do a lot of things that you saw Mike Macdonald do. I really believe that, you get some help in the draft. You're better at corner now because all of a sudden Nate Wiggins is there, and so you don't have to worry so much about, hey, is Marlon Humphrey, where's he at? Is he declining a little bit? And again, I think they're being strong up the middle with Matabuke, with Roquan Smith, with Kyle Hamilton. I think all that bodes well for them. So, again, I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think Mike Macdonald is a really good defensive coordinator. But, again, I think they've got the pieces in place to overcome that.
Outside of the Kansas City Chiefs still exist, what are your biggest concerns about the Baltimore Ravens in terms of taking that step forward, bridging that gap from consistently good football team to actually being able to win a Super Bowl?
Well, it's really recognizing what the Chiefs have recognized, which is in the last couple of years specifically, is that it's not how you win, it's just that you win. And if you had played that AFC Championship game 4 years ago, I imagine the Chiefs would have been a lot less willing to, play possession football, take what the defense gave them, settle for 17 points. They would have tried to light it up.
Right.
And really, when you look back at that AFC Championship game they lost to the Bengals, that was how they lost it, by thinking we can do whatever we want to out here. And I still believe, aside from not running the football in that Baltimore, in that AFC Championship game, Baltimore's biggest fault was just their mental approach to it, which was to come out and they were too arrogant about it. They knew they were the better team, and they wanted to go out and show that. I think they've got to get to a place where whatever it takes to win, they're going to do that. And so it's easier said than done, but I think the Chiefs do it. And again, Chiefs are a great team. I live here. I've seen their evolution with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But the biggest thing that they do well, they don't beat themselves. And that's what the Ravens did last year.
Replacing 3/5 of your starting offensive linemen, when you say it out loud, it sounds like panicked. It sounds, oh, my God, this could be the end of it. But given the Ravens' track record in producing offensive linemen and how they've drafted the position, and, again, given that Lamar – does that mitigate what sounds like should be perilous in that, again, it's 60% of your starting offensive linemen that are gone?
I get it, and they've been great up front, but I'm with you. They will find ways to replace them. They do a great job. Eric DeCosta and his staff do a great job of identifying talent. They do a great job of developing with that coaching staff that John Harbaugh has in place. And to be totally honest, having Lamar Jackson makes life easier for you. Right. Because he creates angles and puts pressure on the defense that it's not just line up and play football. You've got to be mindful of, how sound you are in your gaps, and you got to be mindful of bringing safeties down and help them in the run game. And that stuff, helps make it easier for offensive linemen to really to do what they want to do, because you're keeping the defense, off balance. And so, it's not the same situation, but I remember back when Peyton Manning was still playing in Denver, and I asked one of their coaches towards the end of his run when they won their last championship, how are you going to deal with this, all these offensive line questions? You got a couple guys out, some new faces, and he's like, we got Peyton Manning. Ball's coming out fast. Don't have to worry about it. Like, how long you got to block?
I get it. That's sort of like everything that we talk about. Like, to me, I still think the Ravens could probably use, like, for example, one more veteran wide receiver. I still think that if there's any sort of help that could be had in the edge rush department, I'm for. But like, somebody asked me how I feel about the Ravens, I'm like, well, they've got Lamar Jackson. Like, I don't know why I would expect them to not be right in the mix next year. They have Lamar Jackson. If he's healthy, I think they're going to be in the conversation. That's the way that I don't know if you guys have paid attention to the NFL. That seems to be the way this thing works.
Yeah, exactly. Look, there'll be more competition now. I mean,
sure.
I think the Bengals getting Joe Burrow back. Houston Texans, obviously, you saw them in the playoffs, and they're going to be a better team with C.J. Stroud. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Dolphins still have some talent, and there's going to be a lot of players out there. That's the whole point of what I wrote with the Ravens, being the chief competition with the Chiefs, is that the Chiefs, I think sometimes in Kansas City, they think it's like college football where you just line up and you're Georgia and you're beating people up 50 points. Like, all these games come down to a field goal or a touchdown. And so what swings it is just how great your players play and how much you don't beat yourself.
The team that we're not talking about enough this offseason that is going to be a major, like, potentially Super Bowl contending factor in 2024 is who?
Houston.
Yeah.
Houston, Texas.
Yep. No, it makes all sense.
And I know. Yeah. And I know you guys saw them. I know they, won the South last year. I think it happened so fast that people just kind of, oh, wow, C.J. Stroud's great. And they won the South, kind of backed in to it. But, Stroud is, I think he's, within this year, is going to be on the same plane as, the Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen's, Justin Herbert, great quarterback, Joe Burrows, great young quarterbacks of the NFL. That's how fast he's progressing. And then you look at what they were able to do, with that rookie deal, and bringing in Stephon Diggs, bringing in Danielle Hunter, adding so much, to a team that's already been pretty good. Joe Mixon is down there now. So I think they're getting ready to make their push. And so in a lot of ways, they do remind me of the Chiefs, back when they got going. They have that much talent.
I think they're that. I completely agree with you. I think they're that much of a factor. I think I am terrified. And again, they already had really good wide receivers. Like, they already had two of, like, the 10 highest graded wide receivers in the league, and then all they did was go add Stephon Diggs to it. Like, oh, cool. This will be no problem. My buddy Griffin wants to jump in real quick.
Because I saw you read about it earlier this week, Jeff, about some of the most improved teams, and you mentioned the Steelers as being one of those, and obviously the Ravens will have to get by them if they want to get to the Chiefs as well. And since they added, obviously they added the two quarterbacks in Fields and Russell Wilson, but I don't think we're like all too worried about them. Should we be more worried about the Steelers than we are right now?
I think they're a little more dangerous because of the quarterback situation, because of the return. Yeah, they drafted well. They drafted really well. I think they got two really good offensive linemen. Roman Wilson, I like at receiver. Yeah, he's the guy I watched at Michigan a lot, where I went to school. And so I think that they're plugging in at the right places. I think the whole point of that article was to figure out, okay, because I picked the Chiefs because they kept Chris Jones and got Xavier Worthy and whatever. Yeah, but I think Pittsburgh will be a much better offensive team than they were, because they were pretty feeble last year in that department. So if Russell Wilson is what I think he can be, if they return to their roots as far as running the football and being consistent with that, because I think they haven't been really good up front for a long time, I think they're going to be dangerous. I think they made the playoffs last year without much of an offense, so I think they can be a much more difficult team to deal with what they have this year.
Is it too simplistic to say I fear the Chiefs potentially with Justin Fields as their quarterback, but I don't know that I fear them with Russell Wilson as their quarterback?
No, I don't think it is. But I think the way they're going to approach it is that I think Russell is going to give them a foundation. And then as the season goes on, I think you'll see Justin step in and then be able to be more dynamic in what they do. For all the scrutiny and all the drama that played out in Denver last year with Russell Wilson, I mean, he still had a pretty decent season. It was 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Yeah. And so they compare that to what Kenny Pickett did or whoever else was Mason Rudolph, that's night and day. And so I really believe what's good about both those quarterbacks in that offense is that they both need the run game to really be viable. And so that's what I'm saying. I think they're going to be – you look at Arthur Smith and what he did in Tennessee, their offensive coordinator coming over there. I think he'll be very creative in how he uses those guys and really probably take some pages out of the Ravens' early playbook with Lamar Jackson and get them both, maybe not as much Russell, but Justin for sure, get them going in the run game.
I hear everything you're saying. That number about Russell Wilson, like not throwing the ball more than 5 yards downfield a year ago, is the one that I keep coming back to. Like, no, yeah, that's how they figure out how to make it, right? Like that's how.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, they're probably a 10-win team at best. I think that division again is going to be sick. I think the Browns will probably take a step back of all the teams I look at there. I think the Bengals being Burrow back makes a huge difference. But yeah, the two playoff teams I'm picking is the Ravens and the Bengals.
I get it. I think I'm like a Justin Fields truther, Jeff, is what it is. Like I keep looking at that dude and being like, what is everybody else not seeing? It almost feels like the way that we treated black quarterbacks once upon a time, where it was just like, no, you can run, so no way. Like, I look at that dude and I see dynamic, and I see not Lamar Jackson, but like, a cousin of Lamar Jackson, and that guy in Pittsburgh scares me. So I am, as somebody who wants to see the Ravens win, I am all in favor of sticking it out with Russell. Well, that should be your guy. Russ is your guy. He's the veteran. He's proven. Yeah, that's what you should be doing, Pittsburgh, 100%. At Jeffri Chadiha, that's Jeffri, Chadiha, Chadiha on Twitter. Jeff, is there anything else we can plug for you, man?
No, that's it for now, man. I got a little week off here, so you're on my football talk for the week, and that's about it. We'll get to the mini camps like in a couple of weeks, and that'll be it.
I appreciate you squeezing us in on a week off. Jeff, always appreciate you, man. Thank you for doing this morning.
All good, man. Thanks a lot.
Jeff Chadiha, NFL Network, NFL.com. Appreciate him taking the time for us. That's my, I know somebody's going to say, dude, weren't you the guy that, was in love with the Bears? Yes, I have a Justin Fields problem. I do. But, I don't know. I don't know why I'm on an island. I don't understand it. Conversation for another day. It's not really worth spending any time on this morning, but I have a Justin Fields problem. I can't quit that guy. I can't do it. He's dynamic, and I hate the idea of him being the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh this season because I think he could be special, and I just don't think that Russell Wilson has special left in him any longer, and so I'm good with that. You stick it out. It's your guy. You told him he was the guy. Don't take that away from him. Is that the type of organization you are? I thought you were the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're better than that. You wouldn't do that. Stick it out with your guy. Have some faith. Let's ride. Hour number 1 in the books in today's show. Still a lot to do today. Seth Johnson from Bowie is going to join us in just a little bit. Get into fighting words and more. Obviously, Game 5 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals is coming up tonight as Dallas will try again to close out Minnesota, this time in Minnesota, where, as we know, they won this year's Professional Women's Hockey League Championship. Everybody knows that. That was an obvious thing. Let's get back into some Orioles conversation this morning. Man, it's always a treat when this guy's back in town. I had to apologize for a late-night text that I accidentally sent him last night, but he's such a good guy. I really enjoy the Otter, Gregg Olson, working Mass and Broadcasts, and it's great to have him back here on GCR. Gregg, it's Glenn. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Oh, no worries.
Hey,
no worries.
Gregg, can you describe for the dumb guy, because I know how great Corbin Burnes is, because the results back it up. But watching you and listening to you describe, it's such a joy for me. Why is Corbin Burnes so good, Gregg Olson?
Well, the action on his fastball. So if he runs, he calls it a cutter. They call it a cutter, but I mean at that velocity, and that being the highest velocity pitch, I'll call it a cutting fastball. I mean it's one side of the plate. It's effective to both lefties and righties. So if he runs it into lefties away to righties, very effective. He's able backdoored against lefties. And then you couple that with, small percentage of sinkers going the exact opposite direction. Then the changeup's going the exact opposite direction. And the slider's going back towards the cutter and look vertical break. It's just all sorts of angles. Really works the bottom of the zone. Just, I don't know if they call it tunneling. It's just everything's kind of coming out of the same spot and looks similar, and then it's just not.
And obviously no one can handle it. Like, that's the way that it goes. What he did last night, back out there for the 7th inning, which we hadn't seen a lot this season, and it seemed like the Orioles' plan was, hey, we want to make sure this guy's here for the end of October. We're not pushing anything. But what does that do for an entire team when a guy goes back out there, delivers up to 108 pitches, works out of a jam himself in the 7th inning, and gets the job done the way that he did last night?
Well, I think it's refreshing. It's old baseball. It's what all the starters used to do, is to go out and fight and not get bailed out of jams. And I could see where Brandon Hyde had a window, and he, it was at the bottom of the order, and he let Burnes go back out there and had Coulomb ready for the lefty that was coming up with guys on first and second. I appreciated it. I really did, because it's like it's Burnes has already proven that he can get out of jams and he's not going to shrink away from them. But I just appreciated it for, letting him go back and fight, to get 7 innings that deep in the pitch count.
It was a moment, man. It was electric. There's no doubt about it. Gregg, I know, you being back this week, everybody's talking about the back end of the Orioles bullpen, and Craig Kimbrell has accomplished everything there is to accomplish in this game. He has bounced back somewhat nicely from a really brutal stretch a couple of weeks ago. Are you at a place where someone of his age in 2024 you still believe can be the guy, the definitive 9th inning guy that has to be used frequently to make a run to trying to win a World Series?
I think he can, yeah. I mean, Rivera proved that it's been done. Lee Smith, Hoffman, all pitched lengthy terms. And his stuff is still there. I think, when he had his little blip on the radar, it was just, that's what it was. It was, everybody scuffles at some point. And, even moving him out of the spot, I'm still going to go into the 7th inning and scuffle until I get it fixed. So, I think he got whatever it was cleaned up. I didn't get a chance to talk to him when I was back, but looks like he got everything cleaned up, and all is right.
Do you have any larger, I think the topic about the bullpen on the whole has been significant, that it almost feels like this is a team that could use multiple arms. They could, Keegan Aiken struggled of late. He's not the only one. Does it seem like there could still be room for this team to bolster the bullpen on the whole before July 31st?
I mean, there's always room to bolster, but, I saw Tate last night.
Yeah.
And it looked like his velocity has returned. You got Coulomb, Perez, solid lefties that have been very effective. Your 8th and 9th inning guys are fine. So, overall, yeah, you could always add a piece, but is it absolutely necessary? I'm not quite sure.
What about Grayson the other day, Gregg? we all see the stuff. We all know the talent is overwhelming. I know the breaking ball was a problem, and it was getting hit on Wednesday, on Tuesday. What's the difference between Grayson Rodriguez, the good pitcher, and the Grayson Rodriguez that we genuinely believe is capable of becoming an ace moving forward?
I think a lot of it's, for me, that game was just a mix of, what the pitches were working, what wasn't working. And then he got away from the breaking ball and the off speed that was getting hit and just started going to his strength, which is that fastball up in the zone. It's, it's tough for me to say. His location improved after the first couple innings.
Right.
I like his changeup. I like his breaking ball. He's gone to more of a tight little slider instead of the sweeper. And I was looking at it. I was like, his sweeper last year had a pretty low batting average against it. So it was a curious deletion of a pitch. But I understand it, and I don't know. I would probably have to say just what the mix of pitches is that night against the hitters, and how long can he stay with his strength, which is the fastball? How much does he need to go to the off-speed stuff? I know he got beat around a little bit last year early on because he was missing in the middle of the plate. So that's what I saw.
What does it say about him that he did get beat up like that, but then settled in and delivered, 10 strikeouts and 6 innings and ultimately gave the team a chance to win?
That just shows me that, he's a pro. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sort it out, figure it out, keep adapting that night, and keep your team in the game as best you can for as long as you can, even though, in the end, the numbers weren't that great, but you take away those 2 innings, and it was a pretty good start. And I really, again, being a bullpen guy, appreciated, the battle and the fight.
Gregg Olson with us here on GCR after he spent his week back here in Baltimore working for Mass, and he's back to the college baseball grind. We'll have him tell us about it in a second. Gregg, if I could just, on the whole, being around the team this week, seeing them up close, how much did it fortify or, your belief that this is a group that is capable of winning a World Series right now?
I think just seeing Irvin, pick up right where he left off, didn't
right.
blink, and he's one of your 4 or 5 number starters. And the year that he's putting together, if you can throw together the 5 guys that they're throwing out there right now, and then you bring Kramer back, that's really, really solid. The bench is stronger than I expected. And it's just Hyde's done a really nice job of manipulating pieces and manipulating the bullpen. And just seems to always have the right move.
Dude, what you say about Cole Irvin, and we chatted with him earlier in the show, man. This is like a miracle, what we're seeing from Cole Irvin this year. Pitching to a sub-3 ERA. This was a guy that was written off. This was a guy that I don't know that we thought that his roster spot was a certainty at times. Can you explain what it is that he's done that has led to this incredible season that he's put together?
Yeah, it sounds like he tinkered with some grips. So changed his curveball grip. That's been more effective. He's able to throw that behind in the count. Changed his changeup grip. That's been more effective. And then for me, I when I understand, he's just quit chasing the velocity numbers and really locked in on just locating the sides of the plate and making good quality pitches with the velo that he's got. And if you start doing that, you start getting comfortable, and then all of a sudden the velo kind of ticks back up because you're comfortable and locked in on sides of the plate and not chasing the effort. And so that's what I've seen so far. I mean, what he's doing right now has been, close to unbelievable.
It really is. It really is, man. Gregg Olson, when do we get you back in our lives, with the Orioles, that is, anyway?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. The future on coming back to Baltimore is uncertain.
All right. Well, we will be rooting for that day. I also want to tell you that I heard from some family members of some current Orioles players who reached out to me this week, like, dude, who's this guy doing the games? He's great. So I might be following up with you to try to get you in touch with some of those folks, because you were a hit with some of the family members of these current Orioles players. This weekend,
that's right.
Where are you headed this weekend?
I am on my drive to Tallahassee.
So who's in that region with Florida State? Oh.
Central Florida and Stetson.
Okay, that's the group that we're working with on the ESPN family of networks. Gregg Olson, it's always a treat. I really enjoy not only catching up with you, but truly enjoy your work whenever you're doing the broadcast, man. Hope that we do get you back here before too long. Thank you, as always, for taking the time for us this morning.
Thank you. Nice talking to you.
Gregg Olson with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And, yeah, really did. I mean, it's to take nothing away from, obviously, Ben's tremendous and Jim Palmer's, but, like, we're blessed, right? Like, it's an incredible group, but Gregg Olson dissecting pitches, like almost sort of telling you what's coming next. Like, this is where I think he's going next. It's good stuff, man. He was awesome this week, and appreciate Gregg Olson taking the time for us this morning. All right, we will pause here. When we come back in, we're going to take a trip to Bowie, and it's nothing but pitchers this morning. Like, we're just doing it's a very pitcher-heavy show. Seth Johnson from the Bowie Baysox is going to join us next as we continue along on a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
What company makes your home more energy efficient, purifies your air, kills all viruses, and qualifies you for $6,000 in rebates? A.J. Michaels Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Grayson Rodriguez, talking to people who have been part of his path as the Orioles hope he'll become their next homegrown ace. Also inside, we remember legendary Maryland basketball coach Lefty Drizel with stories from legends like Roy Williams and Bobby Cremins about what it was like to go up against the old left-hander. Press Box is available at over 500 locations around Baltimore, including 60 Royal Farm stores. You can also find the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The Ed Block Courage Award Foundation has been working in partnership with the NFL for 46 years to support abused, neglected, and at-risk youth across the country, partnering each team with a children's facility or program that supports the well-being of those in need. Annually, one player from each team is selected by their peers to receive the Courage Award for their inspiration on and off the field. Learn more about how the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation makes a difference, and be sure to check out their latest podcast and web series episodes at edblock.org.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Stan the Fan Charles will be back in action a little bit later on today as he's going to catch up with Eric Garfield. Talk Orioles prospects and prospects in general. Speaking of prospects, Seth Johnson's about to join us. But you can check that out, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you'll be able to see it, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. And, of course, Stan, Luke Jackson, and Ross Grimsley every Monday talking baseball with you as well. It was an awkward moment, so I'm very distracted by the French Open, of course. Rain has been an issue, a serious issue in Paris, although the sun is back out today, so there should be more tennis, and they got to play a little catch-up. But Brandon Nakashima is in a fourth-set tiebreak with Hubie Hurkacz. You knew that. And I looked up at the TV, and I saw that Brandon Nakashima had fought back to tie the tiebreak up at 4-4 all, although he's going to regret that one now. It's going to be match point for Hubie Hurkacz. Anyway, so I look up, and I see that, and I say, all right, let's go, Brandon. And then Griffin looks back at me like, you might want to be careful. You might want. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, very distracted I am by the French Open. It should be, frankly, it should be illegal that I have to be in here during these weeks. I don't know how it is that I haven't worked that out in my contract yet, that I don't have to work when events like the French Open and Wimbledon are going on. Joining us now here on GCR, it's time for us to make our weekly trip to Bowie to chat with a member of the Baysox, and it's good to catch up. We talked to him late last year after he had gotten back out on the mound. Now he's gotten to a bit more of a groove this season. It's a pleasure for us to catch back up with Seth Johnson, who's with us now here on GCR. Seth, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's good to chat again, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Seth, let me go back to when we chatted in September of last year. How good was it for you just to, get the part of the process out of the way where you simply get back out on the mound and you go through it all again last year and, remind yourself, hey, right, this is how I do it. It really is like riding a bike. How important was that coming into this year and obviously now the steps that you're trying to take forward?
Yeah, I thought it was huge. You kind of get caught in the rehab mode and you kind of forget how to compete a little bit and how to pitch in-game situations and stuff. So getting those few innings in and being able to put myself in those situations kind of reminded me on what I need to focus on.
I was talking to Burnovich last week. I want to run this because obviously you guys went through similar situations. What was the most pedantic thing that you had to deal with when you were going through your rehab? What was the thing that it required you to do that it was the most frustrating part of Jesus, do I really have to do this again right now?
Honestly, can't really think of one.
No? Okay.
My rehab went really smooth, and I had a really good group of guys that were down there rehabbing at the same time, so they made it a lot more fun and a lot easier.
Okay, there was no having to squeeze something over and over again or anything along those lines that was just God, really? I'm doing this?
I mean, there's some days where it kind of gets annoying, but at the same time, our rehab PT, Byron Campbell did a great job of letting us know that there was a reason behind everything we did.
Okay.
And, once you remembered that, it made all the monotonous of it kind of go away.
That's cool. So Seth, the last 3 starts, right? 13 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. Have you felt of late like you are yourself again? Have you gotten to that point where you're right, this is who I am, this is what I'm capable of doing?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely gotten back to, just being a little more simple in my game plan and not trying to do too much. I talked about the rehab mindset. During rehab, you really want to develop things and work on things. And once you get into games, it's more about execution and stuff. So over the last 3 starts, as you mentioned, I've been able to, execute plans a little easier.
Do you, what's the difficulty of, knowing how much time you missed and knowing that you got to work your way back versus, right, but I'm also 25 and I'm on the 40-man roster and I want to be in the big leagues right now? Like, how do you measure, I'm sure, your own internal desires to speed up the clock versus knowing, hey, this is still a process, I can't force it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I kind of fell into early in the year. Was trying to, rush the process and stuff. But, I mean, the staff here has done a great job of kind of, keeping my perspective in check and remind me that it has been a long time since I pitched full season, and it still is relatively early in the year. So they've done a great job of keeping me in the present and kind of just focusing on my day-to-day.
Seth, I wonder if we're at the point where, was there ever a part during the process where you said, hey, I'm almost glad that I got it out of the way now? Like, it almost feels inevitable these days that pitchers are going to end up needing Tommy John surgery. And was there any part of you that said, you know what, it's better now than right after I reach the big league level, or right as I'm did you have any of those feelings as you were going through this process?
A little bit. As you mentioned, it's a pretty common thing nowadays. So, I feel like physically I was in a really good spot and able to, take a year. Obviously, we're rehabbing our elbow, but you get a year to rebuild your whole body and kind of rebuild the way you do things. And I'm a pretty optimistic person, so I looked at the whole process in a positive light.
He is Seth Johnson, the Bowie Baysox. He's with us here on GCR. Seth, did you, as you were away, did you add anything repertoire-wise, or did you say, I'm not going to mess with that right now, I just have to focus on doing everything that I know I'm capable of doing, and I can get back to that sometime down the road?
It wasn't really adding anything. It was more like trying to refine everything and get, all my pitches to be as consistent as they were before I got hurt. And, I mean, that's an ongoing process. That's probably going to go on until, my career's over. But, yeah, not really any adding, more just refinement.
So besides just going through the process again, what were the focuses? What were the goals, the priorities for you as you came into this season?
Yeah, my main goal was just to make all my starts.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
When I got hurt, that was my first time ever going on the IL, and, it was a year and a half on it and kind of over that whole deal. But, yeah, that was mainly it, just, find my process I need to stay healthy and stay in good shape and be able to make all the starts.
A lot of people talk about when you're away from the sport, when you're an athlete and you have to spend time away from the sport, that you gain different perspective during that time, either watching the game from afar, mental perspective. Did you go through any of that? Did you come back to pitching with a different perspective from the time that you had away?
I think so. I think I'm a lot more appreciative of every day and every opportunity I get now. Like I said, I really don't like missing any time. I like being on the mound when I'm supposed to be there. So, being able to just be more appreciative of all the little things in the season, like those long bus rides and stuff. Like a year ago, I was just starting to throw bullpens again. So even those little things I'm finding enjoyment in.
Dude, what you're talking about, I feel this. It's such because I remember being whatever age it was that I reached the point where I didn't want to miss a day of school again. It hit me. I don't want to skip school. That's where my friends are. I want to be there. Why would I be at home? That sounds terrible. And even when I take a day off of work, I took a day off last Friday. I had that sense of aren't I supposed to be somewhere? This isn't right. I understand that feeling of this is what I do. This is where I'm supposed to be. I don't want to be anywhere other than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm lucky I love baseball. I love everything with it. So it doesn't really feel like work. Like you said, it's just what I do. So
I totally get that. Hey, the Bowie Baysox are back home next Tuesday night to start a series. A lot of great events throughout the course of next week, including Woof Wednesday, as well as fireworks next Friday night, Scouts night, and a family camp out on the field. You got to get a special ticket for that. They're also doing this really cool event. It's called Gotta Have Faith Friday. If you go to next Friday night's game and the Baysox win, then everyone gets a voucher to come back at half price for a future game. So you're rolling the dice that you're getting a discount on your next tickets. So a lot of cool stuff going on next week. You can get to Baysox.com in order to check it all out. Seth, away from baseball, right? Like, what were the things that maybe helped you pass the time? What were the things that you know, like we know that some of the guys in the organization love like doing Legos, things along those lines. Everybody loves playing golf, but I don't know how much you can do that when you're trying to rehab. What were the things during your time away that helped you, like, you know, away from baseball, keep that mental health up?
Yeah. Luckily, like, I live in Fort Myers with my fiance, and Sarasota is only like an hour and a half up the road. So on a lot of the weekends, I got to go home and you know, hang out with her and see
That's
my
cool.
dog. And some weekends they would come up and hang out with me. And so getting that regular time with, like, you know, my support system was huge. And yeah, I mean, they helped a ton with that.
What about Mondays now? Like, what's a Monday look like in Seth Johnson's life?
I try to sleep as late as possible and just do a bunch of laundry.
All right. That sounds that's kind of boring, dude. I was really
Yeah,
hoping that you're gonna have like a video game or something for me that you've been doing to pass the time. You got anything that you've been reading or like watching or anything like that?
I just watch a lot of YouTube. I will play some video games.
Okay.
I've been trying to teach myself guitar over the last couple of years, so I'll pick up the guitar every once in a while.
How's that going?
But it was good. During Big League Camp, we had like the talent show, and I played for the first time in front of anybody.
And what'd you play?
It was like 5 different little like riffs that kind of just put together.
Okay.
It was the most nervous I've ever been in my life for anything.
Really? Even like more so, dude. You've pitched in front of a lot of people in your life.
Yeah, but like pitching is what I do. Guitar is like something
Fair.
that's really new to me, and like something I'm kind of trying to teach myself. So it and also I'm in a room full of big leaguers, so it was nerve-wracking.
I get that. Did you get like? I feel like that can be fulfilling though, because if you nail it, you get like a different type of respect from those guys when they see something like that. Were you able to feel a little bit of that afterwards?
Oh yeah, for sure. And the main thing I felt was relief that it was over, and then you know, a few of the players come up and tell me I did a good job and it was impressive and stuff, and you know, that always feels nice.
What's your go? Like, are you a country fan, like a rock fan? What kind of music do you typically listen to?
Mostly country.
Okay.
Like Zach Bryan, Shane Smith and the Saints, those kind of guys.
That makes sense. Tyler Childers was in town recently, and everybody was going wild about that. Are you at the place yet where you'd be comfortable, like, posting any of your music on social media or anything like? Or are you still not quite there yet?
Sometimes I'll put it like on an Instagram story, so it goes away for 24 hours. But it's yeah, a little bit. I mean, it is kind of my only hobby outside of the field.
No, I think that's cool, man. I love that. Like, and I always feel like I'm so glad we're having these conversations, because I feel like people believe that like every athlete is like this sort of like robotic, you know, baseball. But like, I almost feel like it requires having those types of interests. Like, you've got to be able to get away from baseball for a moment, or else I feel like it can eat you up alive mentally, right?
Oh yeah, and that's definitely something that I've kind of, you know, discovered on my own as I've gotten older and played in pro ball longer and longer. Is like, you do need that mental break, because it will tear you down for sure.
Were you more of that type? Like when you were younger, college, high school, were you just like always baseball all the time?
Yeah, pretty much my whole life. Like when I wasn't playing baseball, I was watching baseball, and you know, it's still that way now, but I'm able to kind of separate myself a little bit from it.
I mentioned the 40-man thing. Like, what would it mean to you? Like, if you were to be able to continue on this path, what would it mean to you to maybe have the opportunity this season with a team that, you know, might have a chance to win a World Series, right? Like, what would that mean to you to have that opportunity to do that this year?
I mean, it'd mean a ton. It'd mean a ton to me, and it'd mean a ton to my family. You know, I can't thank them enough for all the sacrifices they've made throughout the years of, you know, driving me places, giving me equipment, like paying for tournaments and all that stuff. I mean, I feel like if that moment does come, it's not really so much for me, but it's for my family as a whole, just because they've been with me every step of the way.
Who was texting you the most when you were going through rehab? Like, who did you almost have to say, like, dude, I appreciate it, but maybe not. Maybe a day off wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah, my family.
Yeah.
We got a family group chat. You know, we kept in touch a lot and talked to my parents every week, talked to my brother almost like every other day. But yeah, they were there for me the whole time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm sure there are days where you're like, all right, but still, to have that type of, I can't even imagine, to have that type of support system really does have to mean the world when you're going through something like that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, they've they were with me when I got my one college offer to JUCO I'd never heard of, and they were with me when I was at Campbell, and they were with me when I got drafted. And I mean, it doesn't really feel like it's my career. It's more like our career as a family.
That's awesome, dude. I saw you were able to take in some sightseeing recently. It doesn't stink having DC right down the road, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. That was my first time going there since like 8th grade field trip, I think. But me and my fiance went out for the day, and that was fun.
It's so funny. I took my kids to New York. My kids are 9 and 6, and I took them to New York a couple weeks ago. And so we did all the touristy stuff, right? Like we were like, hey, Statue of Liberty, we want to see all those things. And somebody said to me, like, wow, I bet you're kind of sick of that. I was like, dude, I don't think I had seen the Statue of Liberty since I was, like 10. Like I hadn't seen it in forever. It was like, wow, this is cool. Like I actually still I might have enjoyed it more than my kids did, frankly.
Oh yeah, you got to go do touristy things.
100%, man. I'm all in. All right, Seth Johnson. Remind everybody on Instagram, it's at SethJohnson26, correct?
That sounds right to me.
And you're not really on Twitter, right?
No, don't really go on there very often.
Good for you. My God, I am so jealous of that. Seth, so happy to see the success that you're finding once again. Can't wait to see what's next for you, bro. Thanks for taking the time for us this morning, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Seth Johnson, the Bowie Baysox, with us here on GCR as he tries to work his way back. And I say work his way back. Obviously, he is working his way back. He wants to get to the big league level after missing the better part of 2 seasons due to Tommy John surgery. Griffin, you want to run into the next room and find out if they want to go ahead and do it. We have a special guest who's stopping by the studio to chat with us for a second today. As we know, it's been a tumultuous year in the cruise industry in the state of Maryland because of the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, but there is very good news that we are looking forward to sharing with you this morning. So I want to make sure that we do that for sure today. Today's show is also brought to you by this print issue of PressBox, which is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. You see Grayson Rodriguez on the cover. Great cover story from Luke Jackson. It got the bump from our friend Jim Palmer on the broadcast recently. And there's only a couple of weeks left for that print issue of PressBox before it is gone forever. So speak now, forever hold your peace. Get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, and you can pick that up. I see Cindy Berman is wandering into studio this morning. Cindy, it is so nice to see you. I'm Glenn. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for coming in and joining us. I always love when there's good news to be shared. Whenever we have a guest on, and that's a guest that can provide us some good news, that makes the day so much better. And Cindy Berman is the Deputy Director, Business Development and Cruise at Cruise Maryland and the Maryland Port Administration. And she is in studio with us this morning, and Cam's trying to get the chair fixed for her. We'll figure it. We'll make it work. We will make that work, I promise. Cindy, if I could ask you to slide right up to that microphone, please, or you can pull the microphone closer to you, actually. We can make that work. Cindy, first of all, thank you for being here. It's great to see you.
Thank you, Glenn, for having me. This is such a pleasure.
I said I love when there's good news.
Yes.
I love that. And we know that this has been a tumultuous year for not just the cruise industry, obviously, in Maryland, but for a lot of people. But as almost remarkably in a short time period, cruising in Maryland is coming back.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is tremendous news. What do people need to know about the return of cruising out of Baltimore?
Well, first of all, Glenn, let me just tell you, we're the best cruise port on the East Coast.
I can affirm 2 summers ago, my family took a Carnival cruise.
Oh, okay.
Out of Baltimore,
okay,
and it was seamless. And I can't tell you because we've also done one out of Florida.
Okay.
But the pleasant nature of getting back and just being able to get in your car and go home, and not go through the headache of having to figure out. Like, I cannot put into words how pleasant that was for myself and for my family to just get off the cruise and go home.
Exactly. You're in time to watch the Orioles game or the Ravens game. You don't miss a beat.
100%.
That's what we tell people. But so basically, because we are an easy port, as you just described, people can do exactly what they did before. For those who've cruised out of Baltimore before, it's time for them to now book their cruise. If they haven't already booked it, they should. And, of course, the parking, as you know, is right there.
Right there.
So they park
Right.
there and go inside.
I mean, this is not you got to take a shuttle. This is not you are right.
You are right
You're
there.
staring at the boat.
Exactly, yes. And so we pride ourselves in being an easy port to maneuver. And so things are back. We didn't miss a beat. As soon as the command center was finished with, their being at the cruise terminal, the cruise terminal was put back to regular configuration, and we had the cruises that weekend.
So tell me about what for your group, how have you handled, all of this, right? Like what did this look like? What work had to be done? Give me the whole rundown of what these last couple of months have been like for Cruise Maryland.
So from a lot of different perspectives. So for one thing, let's say from the travel agents, they were constantly in contact with us. They wanted to find out every week, are the cruises back? Are the cruises back? When will the cruises be back? They had to reassure their clients that cruising would be back. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knew we were resilient, and that as soon as the channel was open for cruise ships, we would be ready for them.
I feel like there's an unspoken part of this conversation, which is like there is a danger if you go a long period without cruising that people just adjust to going somewhere else or doing something different or, whatever that is. And you've got to make sure, like, no, we have proven ourselves to be a wonderful port and destination for people that enjoy cruising. We got to get right back to doing that.
Well, one thing, Glenn, let me tell you, our partners are phenomenal.
Yeah.
We have year-round cruising with Carnival and Royal, and they both told us that they would be back. They would not be relocating to another port, that they would be back. Norwegian comes seasonal, and they also told us the same thing, that they would be back. So once a cruiser cruises out of our port, they love it, and the cruise lines live and die by their surveys. So we get excellent ratings, and that makes them want to continue to be there.
This is straight shoot. I'm telling you, I've done it in multiple ports. It's incredibly pleasant.
Exactly.
Incredibly pleasant.
And the reason why we were able, I say, in my opinion, to have the channel open so soon is because the Unified Command Center was located at our cruise terminal, and they were excellent. They were there every day, day and night, meeting together. They didn't have to wait to schedule a meeting because they were all there together to schedule it. So as a result of that, they were able to get things quickly. And then so many federal agencies and state agencies and our governor and our mayor and our Secretary of Transportation and even the President of the United States and all of our senators and congressmen, they all came together because this was not just a Baltimore situation.
Sure.
This was a global situation.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Cindy Berman is in studio with us, Deputy Director, Business Development and Cruise at Cruise Maryland and the Maryland Port Administration. So, Cindy, we really are at the point. So here's another thing I'll tell you. Because I've been on a couple cruises now, it feels like everything on my social media, they feed me cruise content all the time.
Okay.
Like I'm getting ads, I'm getting, everybody's videos, reels, things like that.
Great.
So something I learned about recently is that, like, you could still book, like, last-minute cruises. I've only done, like, plan well in advance and, years in advance types of cruises. But, like, you could still check for deals and get last-minute cruises. You could book today and cruise out of Baltimore now, correct?
No, not really.
Okay.
After 9/11, things really changed with security.
I probably used the wrong wording on that.
Yeah.
So I guess I meant more like cruises are leaving Baltimore.
Yes.
And you can book quickly. Like,
yes.
Now is probably the wrong way of saying it.
Yes,
But
yes.
quickly,
Yeah.
you could get on a cruise out of Baltimore.
Correct. So you have to, there's a manifest that has to be produced.
Right.
And that manifest is produced at least 2 weeks in advance. So you cannot the day of or, a few days before try to get on a cruise. It used to be that way. Years ago, people could walk into the cruise terminal and pay for their cruise that very same day.
That's
right?
nuts.
That's before, the security situation, came into play. But that was years ago. But the good thing is that there's always deals. I recommend people talk with your travel agent and book your cruise in advance, because you're going to get the best deals when it is, planned far in advance, like you said, Glenn, like you do with your family. There's something called wave season, and the cruise lines, the wave season for the cruise lines is where they are getting the majority of their bookings, because during wave seasons is all the deals, and the travel agents are aware of that. So that information is going out to all of their clients. This is the deal, this is the deal, this is the deal. So if you go online, you're going to see deals. Like you go online, you're going to see deals. You're going to see deals for next year already. But the further out you book, I think the better opportunity. But if you do, as you mentioned, have that last minute thing and you got your vacation and you want to change, definitely contact your travel agent and they can get you on a ship.
Cindy, you mentioned the partners that have come back,
Yes.
right? Or that said they were going to stay and they have stayed.
And they've come back.
Is there the possibility that in this comeback,
yes,
there could be more opportunities? There could be new, additional, anything along that, something new for the cruise industry in the state of Maryland?
Well, I think last year what was new for us is that Norwegian Cruise Lines came in and they committed to coming back again this year, and they're here in the fall. I would say that's the newest for us.
Yep.
But we're always talking to cruise lines, Glenn. We're always talking to them, letting them know the benefit of cruising out of Baltimore.
And the significance of it for the entire region, right? Because everybody thinks about the money that you spend on the cruise itself.
Yes.
But for our community, our economy, the significance of having the port and having a vibrant cruise industry in Baltimore. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I can tell you, people come for the cruise. We tell them, this is one of our slogans, come for the cruise and stay for the experience, because our state of Maryland has so much to offer. So people will come before the cruise and they will go to the museums. They will stay at the hotels. Taxis, Ubers are being used. Restaurants are being booked. So for our local economy, they love having the cruise business in Baltimore. Everyone benefits from it. And you can tell when it wasn't here what was happening to some of those entities.
I do think I use the word miracle. The work, it's not a miracle, it's hard work, right?
Yes.
But to happen so quickly.
Yes.
When I think there was such a fear in those immediate days afterwards that this could be years. There was a real sense of terror about how long it was going to take to get everything back and going. It really is remarkable to me that here we are. I'm talking to you in May, and we're cruising out of Baltimore again.
Exactly. It was amazing to us as well. It is amazing. And again, I contribute I give credit to the Unified Command, as I mentioned, and all of those other entities that I mentioned previously, because they were all there at one location. They were able to move quickly, and the funds that was needed, from different entities, that was made available as well. And we were looking at maybe 6 to 8 months before we would see a ship through the channel, and to have a cruise ship come back within 2 months was amazing. A miracle, as you say. I'm going to use your word.
Incredible.
It was incredible. It was a miracle. We're very excited about it. And the passengers, if you could have seen the passengers this past weekend, Glenn. We had a ship on Saturday, which was the Royal Caribbean Vision of the Seas. We had a ship on Sunday, which was Royal Caribbean Carnival Pride. The passengers were smiling, laughing. We had a steel drum guy there. They were dancing.
Are you a cruiser yourself?
I love it.
Okay, how many cruises
it.
have you been on?
Oh, gosh. So what I do,
okay,
the advice that I was given earlier, I book my cruise a year in advance.
Okay.
And I do it with my family.
Yep.
So every 2 years, we're going on a cruise. So I booked this year for next year.
Where are you going next?
We are going on a brand new ship.
Okay.
It's called the Icon of the Seas.
Oh, I've been fed a lot of content about the Icon of the Seas.
Exactly.
This thing is wild.
It is beautiful. It's huge. It's nice. And so it came out this year, already sold out.
Yeah.
So we booked ours for next year.
They're doing there's high diving on this ship. Is this the one that has the ice rink on the ship?
I think it does.
This is nuts. This thing. This
exactly.
is wild. For someone who's never been on a cruise.
Yes.
And I will tell you, for example, like my wife was never a cruise. I had never been on a cruise until a few years ago, right?
Okay.
And I was kind of like indifferent towards it. Like, I don't know, maybe. My wife had never been and was, she was like, I would rather just be sitting on the beach. But then she, like I, really genuinely enjoyed it and had no idea how many things there were to do. And you get into some ports and you're like, I kind of just want to stay on the boat.
Exactly. That's what my mother does.
What is it that you would tell for someone who's never been on a cruise?
The thing that I tell people about cruising, I was one of those people, Glenn.
Yeah.
My mom cruised the whole time I was growing up. I never wanted to go on a cruise.
Yep.
And then when I turned a certain age, and I'm not going to tell you what that is, but when I turned a certain age, my mother
33.
My mother said, step outside your comfort zone, Cindy. You got to take a cruise. Try it. Just try it.
This is, I'm assuming, predating you working in the cruise industry.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I'm a type A
Yep.
personality, so I'm bouncing off the walls all the time. And I couldn't imagine being on a ship and not being able to get off. I'm like, no way. And so I listened to my mom, and my sons and my cousins, a bunch of us went. It was the best vacation I have ever had in my life. And it's the only way I vacation now. Only way. I don't want to do it because there's something for everyone.
Yep.
Something for everyone to do. That's the benefit of cruising, is that you don't have to do everything. On a land vacation, kind of like you kind of go together if you have a car or whatever. But on a cruise, some people go to the casino, some people go to the spa, eat. So many places to eat.
Yeah, that actually is kind of a problem for me on this cruise. I gotta be honest with you. That's a bit of
gaining the weight, right?
Oh boy!
But it's the best food.
We are not taking an elevator all week. We are stairs.
Stairs.
They're like, we really gonna go from the dining hall on the 4th floor all the way up to the yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh! And they have the pools, and all of the crews now have a adult only area.
Yep.
And so you can go, and if you don't want to be in with the whole group, you can go there and just chill. So there is something for everyone to do. There's shopping on board. Oh, my gosh. You name it, and there is something for everyone to do.
Cindy, where can I direct people that want to find out more about specifically cruising in Maryland?
So they can go to cruisemaryland.com. Our schedules are there, and they can click on the schedule and see the schedule for Royal, Carnival, and Norwegian.
There is nothing I love more than there being good news. And this really is good news. And the leadership that has been shown by so many in our region to get everything. And look, we are still saddened by the loss of the bridge and obviously the loss of lives that day. But it has been a miraculous job by so many to get us back to this point.
And I have to tell you, we have our executive director, Jonathan Daniels, who joined the Maryland Port Administration, I believe, in February, and then this happened in March. He has been outstanding, leading all of us and working with the Unified Command. He has done a fantastic job. We couldn't ask for a better executive director at this time.
Cindy Berman, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. Really appreciate it. Whenever you've got good news for us, I want to be able to share it, and this is very, very good news.
Thank you, Glenn. I would love to come back.
We would make sure that happens. That's Cindy Berman with us from Cruise Maryland and the Maryland Port Administration. We'll come back in. Fighting Words coming up next here on Glenn Clark Radio. Hey, O's fans, on Saturday, June 1st, cheer on the Orioles as they take on the Tampa Bay Rays at Oriole Park at Camden Yards at 4:05. The first 25,000 fans 15 and over will receive an Anthony Santander walk-off bobblehead presented by Royal Farms. Come out early. Gates will open 2 hours prior to the first pitch for Early Bird Saturdays with happy hour, live music, and more. Don't miss all the action and excitement of an evening out at the yard. Buy your tickets today at Orioles.com/tickets.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hagerstown, Maryland. a snapshot of American history that dates back centuries. Today, the roots of the city expand with another historical moment, the grand opening of Meredith Park, Hagerstown's new event stadium and home to the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Experience the energy, culture, and adventure. Plan your getaway today at America's newest and most innovative ballpark. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland. Visit Hagerstown.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named number 1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here as we continue along and wind down for a Thursday edition of GCR. And if it's Thursday, that means it's time for us to do this. Oh.
It's Fighting Words with Griffin Bass.
Big UFC fight coming up on Saturday nights.
That is correct. It is Islam Makhachev going to defend the lightweight belt against Dustin Poirier. And I'm very excited about it. Diving into the
This
card.
is the one that you were going to go to, right? Because this is a New Jersey one. Are you still going? Or?
No, I'm not going. The prices for this one never even fluctuated, going down a little bit. It was about $500 a ticket.
I would have thought that the other card was better than this one.
Yeah, looking at it, I think on paper that one is a little bit better. I guess just because I don't know if it's because maybe we're more removed from COVID, if that somehow has something to do with it. Or because it's lightweight and Islam and Dustin Poirier are still bigger stars than it was Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling.
I don't think that can be true, can it?
Dustin Poirier I think is
I get he's been around for a long time. I understand. All right.
It is surprising because when you look at the odds don't think this is going to be much of a fight. And I don't know if I disagree with the odds, but I'm very very excited.
Go ahead. Bet Poirier. Do it. You won't.
I don't
do
know.
it.
I think
do it.
I'm not gonna put a ton on it.
Okay.
He's plus 400 right now. Islam is minus 600 to defend his belt and kind of throw himself up there. Obviously, where he already is, but among the greatest lightweights to ever grace the UFC. As he's going for what will be his 4th title defense after finishing Charles Oliveira, and then a win over Alexander Volkanovski, and then a knockout win over Alexander Volkanovski in October. And Poirier. And I guess for UFC fans, I guess I should say I think they're a little underwhelmed by the card kind of as a whole. I think we've been kind of used to 2 title fights on each card, and I guess these first 2 after UFC 300 have been a little bit more
right, because there was so much on the other card, right?
I'm still excited for it just because it is Dustin Poirier and it's Islam Makhachev, and I think lightweight is the best division in MMA. Just the most skill, and so I think MMA fans are like, well, Max Holloway should have gotten the next lightweight, the next lightweight chance, or Armin Sarukian since he just beat Charles Oliveira. But I think it's really tough to argue against Dustin Poirier because he's also coming off of a win, an upset win over Benoit Saint-Denis, who I picked to finish Dustin Poirier, and he proved me wrong and knocked out Saint-Denis. So I'm very excited for it. I think Islam should be favored, and he should be favored by a lot. Minus 600 is a lot, but I'm still very excited for it. And disappointed that I'm not gonna be able to go, and it just wasn't going to be feasible. It makes me very glad that I was able to go to the one last year.
So how are you gonna make some money betting this?
It's a tough card to make some money on because there are a lot of pretty heavy favorites, a lot of guys that are like close to minus 300 or better. So the parlay that I liked, I clicked out of it, but I had it earlier.
Good. Well, that's good. It was helpful earlier when we were not doing this segment. That was a good time to have it.
Kevin Holland is fighting. He was fighting Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I like him a lot in this one. He's minus 300. And just because of the way Kevin Holland fights, I feel like that can make you a little wary. Anytime he's a large favorite, but he's settled into this role of kind of gatekeeper really well, and he will stop guys that are not for real, and legit dudes will get by him. And he's fought 16 times since 2020, which is just absurd. No one else is really even close to that. And his recent losses are to very legit dudes like Khamzat, Wonderboy, Jack Della Maddalena, and Michael Venom Page a few months ago now. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is not one of those guys. I think this is going to be a fun Kevin Holland fight because that's what he does. He always puts on entertaining fights, and I think he's going to find a way to finish Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. So him at minus 300, and the other ones I like are Jailton Almeida. He is fighting Alexander Romanov. It's a good matchup for Almeida. He got knocked out by Curtis Blades after his very boring win over Derek Lewis. So I think this is a very good bounce back spot for him because Romanov does not really offer much. I guess he's heavyweight, so he has power, but I don't think he offers much more than power on the feet. And Almeida should be able to take him down whenever he wants to, and we'll be able to choke up, find a submission whenever he feels like it. If not, just grind out to decision like he did against Lewis. So he's minus 310 as well. And then the other big favorite that I liked was yeah, I know this is
captivating radio. This is you ever wonder why it is that you tune in? You're not getting this anywhere else.
Basile Hafez against Mickey Gall, which would be a good fight. He's minus 425.
What happened to Mickey Gall?
He's how long has he been in the UFC?
I feel like it's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah, he has been a while. I guess he just isn't fighting as much.
Mickey Gall is 32 years old.
Yes. Why do you recognize his name?
He definitely fought somebody at some point that was relevant.
Sage Northcutt. Oh, he fought CM Punk and Sage Northcutt.
Yep, there you go.
And Mike Jackson were his first couple. Because he was one of those guys. He had only fought once when he came to the UFC.
Yeah, all right. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, he's a legit fighter. And
yeah.
And that was why he had a win over CM Punk, and so he started off undefeated, obviously 4-0, 3-0 in the UFC. He is the fanfare has left. Mickey Gall is no longer that. Hafez is a guy who stepped in on 5 days' notice and fought Jack Della Maddalena last summer, and everyone was very impressed by that because he went to the distance with Jack Della Maddalena, who is very, very good, and so he is a pretty heavy favorite here. And the odds support him. So you put those three together, and you get plus 120. I also like Randy Brown, who is minus 1.
Not the Ravens kicking coach.
No, not the Ravens.
Not Mayor Randy Brown. I don't think so.
No.
Pretty sure not the same guy.
He's minus 180. So if you add him,
he might do some kicking. This Randy Brown.
Yeah, he could.
But
he
not
kick.
Not the kicking coach.
Zaleski dos Santos' head off, maybe. Not. So and then if you add him, then you get plus 250, Randy Brown.
Okay.
So you got Randy Brown, Kevin Holland, Jaelton Almeida, and Basil Hafez. I like those guys the most on this card. Like the two biggest favorites, Grant Dawson. He's fighting a New Jersey guy, Joe Selecki. So I'm not going to go against the
hometown guy. Right.
And then Islam. I mean, it's I'm never gonna bet go against Dustin Poirier, at least not heavy against Dustin Poirier. So I'm taking Islam off the parlay as well.
Okay.
Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa are the co-main events. So we don't have to dive into that, I guess, too much if you don't want to.
No, we really don't.
But it probably should be a pretty simple win for Sean Strickland. But unless he just decides not to show up like he does sometimes. But Paulo Costa has not looked good. He hasn't fought. He's fighting not very often, and he lost to Robert Whittaker, and his fight before that he's lost 3 of his last 4, and his win was against Luke Rockhold, which was just which was a weird fight. Like, it was entertaining, but it was just kind of ridiculous that Paulo
I thought we said we
Costa,
weren't going to go further into this.
Yeah,
I thought that was what we just
He should have been able to knock out.
It's a weird bit where you're like, we don't need to go further into this. Now let's go further into this.
He should have been able to knock out Luke Rockhold.
I thought we came to an agreement there.
Cesar Almeida, he's the guy who beat Dylan Butka. He is fighting.
Okay.
He's a slight favorite. I don't really trust him just because I don't think he looked all that great in the fight against Dylan Butka. And Roman Kopylov is a guy who has finishing ability anywhere in the octagon. So I lean a little bit towards Kopylov, like plus. I think he's plus 100 right now. And then the guy that got bit a couple weeks ago.
That guy.
Yeah, he's this is the curtain jerker. He's fighting Mitch Raposa from Boston.
All right.
So I think that should actually be a very entertaining fight.
Getting bit is not going to be the thing that's going to make me say, now I'm interested.
Well,
you have
the
my
guy
attention.
was winning the fight.
I know, but it's not going to work that way.
The Fury-Usyk rematch has been set for. So this is why Tyson Fury said Happy New Year to everyone.
Because it was going to be
December 21st is when the rematch is going to happen.
Going back to Saudi Arabia?
I believe so, yes.
So this is, I guess, just all the boxing is going to be in Saudi Arabia moving forward. Because Deontay Wilder's fighting in Saudi Arabia this weekend.
Correct.
Which, by the way, it's not a great sign for Deontay Wilder. And I know that's because he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. That Deontay Wilder is fighting this weekend, and no one gives a flying F.
It is unfortunate. He's trying to stir.
Part of it is Saudi Arabia. Like, I mean, that's it all works together for why it's problematic. Look, man, he's gonna get lots of money, and so he probably doesn't care, but no one cares.
He is plus 135 against Zhilei Zhang right now, and he was minus like 160.
Is it that bad?
Is
it that
I
bad?
think Zhang should win. It is a DAZN pay-per-view. The ring walk should be about 5:30, 6 o'clock. So we'll lead right into the UFC prelims perfectly.
All right.
For all the fight fans out there.
There you go.
Wilder trying to promote it. He said, if I lose, I retire.
Yeah, sure.
Which there's a good chance that.
I'm so sure.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure he'll retire.
I'm so
but
sure.
There's a good chance. I think I would definitely lean Zhang in this. Because even though Zhang is older, he's like 41. I think he just turned 41, actually. Earlier in May. He's older, but he's in far better shape. He fought 3 times in 2023. Wilder has only fought 3 times since COVID, and as you said, lost 3 of his last 4. They're both coming off of a loss to Joe Parker, ironically, but I feel a lot better about Zhilei Zhang going into this one.
If you say so.
I think he's pretty affordable at minus 160.
If you say so. All right, that it?
I believe that is it.
Very good. That's fighting words for this week. Real quick before we do tidbit, Cam, come over here and sit down in this chair and say hello to everybody. We have someone who's been in here today trying to get his footing, as he's going to be working with us a little bit this summer. His name is Cam. Cam, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cam. I'm a student over at Stevenson University. I'm a PA announcer.
Pull that microphone a little bit closer
there.
to you. Yeah.
I'm a PA announcer there. Been doing that for roughly a year and a half now, and I just love sports. I'm very passionate.
Where are you from originally,
about that.
Cam?
I'm originally from Western New York, Niagara Falls area.
Okay.
So
how'd you end up at Stevenson University?
That story is pretty interesting. So I applied at Towson, I applied at Goucher, I applied at Stevenson.
So you were focused locally?
Yes.
Why locally?
Partly because my father didn't want me to leave the state of Maryland.
Okay.
But I wanted...
So you have to skip the part where you moved to Maryland from, because everybody still got Western New York, right? Like they're here in Western New York, they're here in Buffalo, they're here in jumping through tables that are lit on fire and eating wing nuts and stuff like that. So you end up where?
From Western New York, I ended up near Washington, D.C.
Okay.
in Tacoma Park, Maryland.
Yes.
And then I would live there for roughly 9 years before I had to go to college. And then I applied many Maryland-based schools, like I said, Stevenson, Goucher, Towson. And then I narrowed it down to Stevenson and Towson because I wanted to get into the radio field. I wanted to get into broadcasting. And then I decided Stevenson just because of the smaller environment of it.
Okay.
And I knew maybe I can start something there, and I wasn't sure if Towson could provide that. So I decided to Stevenson, and then I got going with them halfway through my freshman year with them. And then I got the PA stuff going in about March.
So this is something that you want to do, and Cam's a hard worker, and I've gotten to know him a little bit over at Stevenson, and so I don't know how regular it's going to be this summer, and that's part of the issue. We're going to work through that, but we're going to have him learn a little bit about how we do things over here, and then so you say you love sports. Tell me what it is. Like, what are you the biggest fan of in your sports fandom?
So, ironically enough, I'm a big Seattle guy. I don't know.
What?
I have no idea. But
what?
I know. I'm a big Seattle guy.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Why?
So, I guess my family says I was born on the West Coast. I was born in Vegas, which is nowhere near Seattle.
Is it military family? Or
No military family. Just Vegas and then went back to Buffalo. Very weird story, yes.
I don't know.
Very complicated person.
It's all over the place.
But, so sports, Seattle, basically because of Russell Wilson. I've always loved him.
It's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I wanted to be the quarterback in Pittsburgh.
And
big Russell Wilson guy right now.
I loved what he did, and I actually, so kind of rewinding a little bit, I have a severe medical condition.
Rewinding
a little bit.
Go ahead.
Severe medical condition, so I was part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation for a number of years.
Okay.
And then when I was 17, I believe, the Seahawks actually called. And they said, we have an opportunity for you to meet Russ and meet Pete Carroll.
Sure. I can understand why you'd be a huge fan then.
Yeah. So that solidified the deal. And now, even though those two names are gone now, Russell and Pete, I'm still a very diehard Seattle Seahawks fan. I'm also a little bit of a Mariners fan, but the Orioles are still kind of my number one.
It's all over the place.
It is
You're
very
all over the
place.
There's a little bit of everything happening here.
All over the place.
A little bit of everything going on. What's it like rooting for a team that doesn't have a quarterback, though? Like, what's that like?
That is tricky.
Yeah, that's a tough. It's that whole chat. They're like, Gino's not bad, but we all kind of know he's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like, we all know that, and you're just sort of running out there like, maybe we could win anyway. Maybe Mike McDonald can gin up some crazy schemes. No.
I don't think so.
Nope.
Unfortunately, I know a lot about from what I've heard about Mike McDonald, and he's on the defense. So he's very defensive minded. I don't know how that's going to play out in Seattle, especially with Geno Smith. I have a lot.
I mean, it seems like they're trying to create a scenario where you can win with your defense again. Look, man, I get the NFC is not nearly as top heavy as the AFC is, so. My God, you could maybe kind of goof your way into winning 11 games in the NFC, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl that way. It's just not going to happen like that.
No, and it's going to take, I think, years for us to get back to our
stardom. So you
moved
here and decided to be an Orioles fan?
Yes, especially when I went to Stevenson.
Okay.
Once I got to Stevenson, it's Orioles everything.
Okay.
Everyone loves
Orioles.
Orioles.
This is an adventure. I got to be honest with you, Cam. This is really an adventure.
I'm hard to keep track of.
Trying to figure out how you feel about anything. All right, so we're not going to do a weekly Seahawks segment. That's not going to happen. So I need you to think about something that maybe you could add to what the content that we do. Griffin, of course, loves mixed martial arts, so he wanted to do fighting words. And I know Grant, who had interned for us, and he's just a big baseball guy, and so he created a weekly baseball segment that Griffin now does for us because Grant's not here. So you got to think about what maybe you could add. We got time, not in a rush.
Okay.
Looking forward to having you around this
Thank you
summer, and appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you. One thing I might add, one sport I didn't speak about is NASCAR. I'm actually a pretty big NASCAR guy.
I don't know a single. Although if Lamar's going to be a NASCAR fan now, maybe we're going to have no choice but to start paying attention. I am so befuddled by Lamar Jackson just showing up in Charlotte. It didn't seem like he was a tourist either. He showed up wearing a Ryan Blaney shirt.
Really?
Like, that's no one on the planet besides Cam knows who Ryan Blaney is. So you clearly there's got to be some connection there. There's got to be something going on. So I am fascinated to try to figure out what the story
He
is.
lost a bet? Like,
I don't.
I'm not exactly sure.
He wasn't like he left as soon as Ryan Blaney was out of the race.
Oh, really?
He was kind of clearly there to see Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney's from Ohio. He's not from Boynton Beach. Like I was trying to poke around on it. I've reached out to the team Penske to see if we can't get a little bit more information, and they have not reached back so far. So maybe I should have you making those phone calls, actually. Yeah. I would like to know. That might be the direction. It might be that you do a gearhead segment, a motorsports segment each week, something like that.
NASCAR segment.
All right.
Yep.
That could add something because Lord knows I could not tell you who won the race in Charlotte. I couldn't tell you who won I know who won the Indy 500. It was Newgarden. Joseph Newgarden won the Indianapolis 500. I do know that.
That cool pass around.
The reason why I know that is because that tends to be a question the following week at trivia. And they do it every year with the Daytona 500. Not the day after, a week later. Do you remember who won the day? Nope. Ask me right now. It was William Byron, wasn't it, this year who won the Daytona 500? Was that who it was? Okay.
Pretty sure, yes. Yep.
Well done.
Good job.
Look at this guy over here.
Talk about
Look at
Gearhead
this
Glenn.
guy. But I don't know who won Charlotte. I don't know. It was somebody random because the race was called early.
Yes, because it was Christopher
Bell.
Christopher
Bell. Right.
Yeah. He won with 119 to go.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the controversy. Like, they would have starting their engines again at like 1 a.m. And they're like, no, we don't have time for that. It's Memorial Day.
It was a holiday weekend. I mean, like, nobody's going anywhere. I don't know why you didn't just. I actually know someone who made the trip down to Charlotte to watch that race. Like, it was like it was like a pilgrimage for them to go to Charlotte.
Do they get reimbursed on like?
I don't think so.
Not sure.
I don't think it. No, I think it's
a quarter of the race.
It's like the day I went to Wimbledon and like 2/3 the matches were rained out. They were like, but you got to watch Serena. So I'm like, son of a bitch. I sure did. No, it was a great day in my life. I feel like there was something else. Oh, was there somebody who was trying to run the Indianapolis 500 and
there was.
Yeah, it was Kyle Larson.
Okay.
He didn't do so well in either race, actually.
Was he actually able to finish?
He was able to finish both races.
Really?
Yes.
He got there in time.
He got there in time.
Oh, okay.
He flew from Indy to Charlotte.
I thought he had to bail like on the 500, the Indianapolis 500.
Oh no. He did both. He didn't do that great in either one of them.
But
who cares?
You
long
did
day.
it.
It's a long day at office.
Imagine
and
that.
Basically,
imagine having to
miles
turn
away from each other.
Imagine having to turn left that many times in
exactly.
one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'd be done.
And the last one who did that, I believe, was Kurt Busch, and he had some problems that race too, in Charlotte. Many years ago, he had to get like IV fluids on the flight and everything. I
mean,
so I think
nobody thinks about this as being like an extreme athletic competition, but like, dude,
you got two hands on the wheel.
Consider how draining it is when you drive. How frustrated do you get just driving to the beach?
Exactly.
Think about it. Just think about it.
I mean,
for
if
a
I could
second.
go fast though.
Yeah, I'm sure that would change everything. I'm sure suddenly.
If there was
it'd be
not
a
a single other
pleasant
car on the
experience.
road, I'd love going to the beach.
Well, there are other cars on the racetrack. I'm not sure if you're aware. All right, that's our deep dive
but they're
into
all
NASCAR.
like going 200 miles
That's
too.
true.
So.
That's true.
I'm excited to share more about NASCAR with you.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. That's Cam. He'll be with us all summer long. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by County Sports Zone. County Sports Zone is where you can find all of the results from championship season in spring sports at the high school level here in Maryland. Go check it out, countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com.
Seth Lugo became the second pitcher.
So good.
Seth Lugo?
Yeah.
Second
nuts.
pitcher in the modern era to win each of his
Is he
first...
Is he 9-1 now?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, not that the record really matters, but like still.
He's become the second pitcher in the modern era to win each of his first 6 road starts.
How about that?
Of a season, while also allowing 0 or 1 run in each game. Any idea who the other?
Sure.
He actually did this in his first 7 road starts of his Cy Young winning season in 1995.
Roger Clemens.
Not Roger Clemens.
Randy Johnson.
Not Randy Johnson.
Those guys won a lot of Cy Young. Greg Maddux.
Greg Maddux.
Yeah, there we go.
Is the correct answer. He is the company that Seth Lugo joins on this list. Also yesterday, Gunnar Henderson became the 4th Oriole to.
I actually saw.
You saw this one.
I was gonna give it to you if you didn't. if you didn't have it.
All right, so then you should know the top 4. So if he reached 50 home runs before turning 23, he became the 4th Oriole to reach 50 home runs before turning 23.
So the others were...
There are 12. Yeah, go do the others. There were also 12 that
were Machado, Murray.
Number 1?
Oh, Boog Powell.
Boog
was the other
Powell
one.
had 70. And then Eddie Murray had 54, and Machado also at 50. There was 12 Orioles who have double-digit home runs before turning 23.
Christ.
Can you get any of the other 8?
Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken, correct. 45 for Cal.
Before 23?
Before turning 23.
I would say Adley still snuck in, right?
No,
no.
Adley
He was
didn't debut until
was he 24
when he debuted.
Man, was it really?
I think he was.
Maybe you're probably right. I'm just doing the math wrong on that. How about...
There's 2 that I don't expect you to.
Oh, good. Yeah. Good. That's a good list.
Well, 6 is a good list, yeah. 6 is... You should be able to get 6.
Okay. How about...
You need 5. You only need 5 more.
Let's try... I know he wasn't a home run hitter, but we'll try Nick Markakis because of the age.
Correct. Nick Markakis, 16 home runs before he turns.
How many more do I need to get?
Let's try to get 4 more here.
4 more. Well, because there are 4 more.
Because there's 2 that I don't think you'll get. One. Okay.
What?
I was gonna start giving hints, I guess.
Yeah, it's 12-19. You should probably start giving hints.
A very good outfielder.
Very good outfielder. Before 20... Ken Singleton?
Not Ken Singleton. Before Ken Singleton.
Before Ken Singleton, because it's Paul Blair.
Correct. 11 home runs for Paul Blair before he turned 23.
All right.
Guy who played alongside Paul Blair for a while.
Guy who played alongside...
I guess he didn't play a ton alongside Paul Blair, but... Actually, he did.
This is not very helpful. He played
in front of Paul Blair.
He played in front of Paul Blair, but he played with Paul Blair, is what you're saying. He was a teammate of Paul Blair's.
Correct.
So he played in the late 60s, early 70s.
And before that, yeah.
And before that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's Davey Johnson.
Not Davey Johnson.
And so it's, Belanger didn't hit home runs, but I'll just say Belanger.
Not Belanger.
Yeah, that's not surprising. He didn't hit home runs. It's Brooks.
It is. Brooks.
I just realized I, for some reason, convinced myself that Brooks was in the first list.
There's another guy that played with those 2 in the late 60s.
Another guy that played with both of those 2 in the late 60s. And that's because it's Kurt Blefary.
That is correct. It is Kurt Blefary. And then there is one more that you should be able to get. He is a modern, or he's not an active player.
He's not an active player.
But he's like a modern Oriole.
Modern Oriole. John Scope.
Jonathan Scope is correct.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, well done. 2 more that I can't give any hints for.
You can't give any hints.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about him.
Oh, good.
Ron Hansen.
Oh, well, Ron Hansen is like the subject, basically. So Ron Hansen, I'm trying to say this the right way. What's the movie? I'm trying. Oh my God.
Oh really?
No, he wasn't in the movie, but like he was involved with the. Oh, for F's sake! Why am I struggling with this? Hang on a second. Ron Hansen. Stop it! I'm gonna feel really stupid.
You're probably right. Yeah.
No, I know I'm right, but I'm.
You don't want me to find it? Is what you're saying?
No, I don't. Just get to the other one.
And then the other one was Andres Mora.
I don't know who Andres Mora is.
Neither
Are you
do
sure
I.
it's an Oriole, not a St. Louis Brown?
He was an Oriole, yeah. I made sure to. I always factored out the St. Louis Browns.
Ron Hansen was involved with. That's gonna drive me nuts.
Let's see. His Wikipedia is a little
involved with,
unorganized.
I think he was involved somehow with Bull Durham. I'm convinced of it. Maybe I've convinced him with somebody else, and that might be the problem here. I might be confusing Ron Hansen and someone else, and I'm gonna end up feeling very stupid. But I don't want to keep. I'm gonna cut my losses. Is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna deal with it another time. That's the way it's gonna go, and we're gonna go ahead and get tubular.
There is a place where tradition, family, and community gather, where the aspirations of talented young competitors takes root, and where the crossroads of history, culture, and renewal come together. This spring, experience America's newest and most innovative ballpark, Meritus Park in Hagerstown, Maryland. home of the Atlantic League Flying Boxcars. Plan your getaway today. You're welcome in Hagerstown, Maryland.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Of course, the Orioles are off before they open up their series with the Rays tomorrow night, so you can check out some hoops. Mavericks try again to close out the Timberwolves, this time in Minnesota. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals at 8:30 on TNT and True TV.
Come on, T-Wolves.
What's your deal there?
I have a T-Wolves over Celtics finals.
Ooh, boy, you got a lot of... I think that one might
They need
be.
to win a lot more games.
What could you sell that ticket for? 5 cents?
Not much.
You might want to take it. You might want to just go
5
ahead and
cents.
take your nickel. It's one nickel you don't have. Eastern Conference Finals, pivotal Game 5 tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN between the Panthers and Rangers in New York. Women's College World Series gets underway today. Games right now, Alabama, UCLA, and then Duke, Oklahoma after that on ESPN. ESPN2 tonight for Texas, Stanford, and Oklahoma State, Florida. Tennis Channel, of course, for the French Open. Francis Tiafoe falling behind 2-1 against Denis Shapovalov. Work to do there. Other baseball. Masson, Nationals Braves, 7:20. It's also on MLB Network and the rest of the country. MLB Network has Cubs Brewers at 1. Then locally, Diamondbacks Mets at 7. Yankees Angels, I guess, joined in progress because that's at 11:30. I don't think that's when they start the game. I think that's a joined in progress thing. ESPN Plus, Astros Mariners at 4:10. MLB TV's free game today is Athletics Rays at 1. WNBA Seattle Storm Indiana Fever tonight at 7 on Amazon Prime. Round 1 of the U.S. Women's Open is at 2 o'clock today on the USA Network, and that's up in Lancaster.
Oh, really?
Is where they're playing the U.S. Women's Open. In fact, Zach Goodman is going up there after he was in here this week. Golf Channel for round 1 of the PGA's Canadian Open at 3 o'clock, and Access TV for Impact Wrestling tonight at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
So there's a show. Yeah, there's like one. Sofia Vergara is going to be on Jimmy Kimmel.
I do enjoy Sofia Vergara.
Spelling Bee Finals on Ion.
Can't miss those.
Welcome to
why
Wrestling
that
episode.
used to be a real thing that was like on ABC and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
why
I
is
guess
it?
just
First of all,
because
what is
either-
Ion? Because they've got WNBA now. They've got the women's soccer league, NWSL. But like, is it a network? Is it an app? Is it a cable? Like, what is Ion? How would I go about trying to? I know this sounds so old manish, but like, how would I watch Ion if I so desired?
The Bee's website has a list of streaming platforms that include your. Let me see here. I'm trying to read. We're trying to read some.
Yeah,
read some
this
articles
doesn't
here.
seem like it's helpful.
Ion is available for free over the air as well as on most cable, satellite, and streaming providers.
If you say so.
Yeah, they said if you say so. Fubo, Tubi, Roku
Because
channel.
I don't have the. I
Well,
just.
everyone has a Roku and like Tubi. And
I have a Fire Stick. How do I watch Ion on my Fire Stick?
I don't know, the CW app maybe?
I don't care this much. I've taken it back. I'm sorry. This is on
YouTube
me.
TV has it? Good.
This is on me.
Good. YouTube
I
TV
screwed this up. It's not this interesting.
Yeah, it was cool, like, because when it was on, yeah, you were right, like, when it was on ABC.
It was a
and
big
ESPN,
deal.
And, like, ESPN had it for...
Remember last year we did a Orioles spelling bee.
Right, yes.
Was that last year or was it
that
the
was,
year before?
That was,
I don't remember.
yeah,
when
that was last year, yeah.
Maybe we'll do something like that again.
Okay.
For... Stand them on. I was going to say we could do it with Drew next week. That would be a fun bit.
Okay.
That'd be a fun bit.
The series finale of Star Trek Discovery on Paramount Plus, if anyone's into that.
Sure.
And then on Netflix, a new show called Eric. This is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Is it about Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World? Because if it is, I'll watch.
It is not about that. This is an emotional
Is it about
crime
former Maryland point guard Eric Hayes?
No, it's not.
I would watch that show too.
Maybe. Well, actually, who knows? Maybe he'll pop up.
I hope he does.
It's an emotional crime
If it's about
drama.
former Orioles pitcher Eric Bedard, I'm good. I've got nothing.
It's not spelled like his name, so I think I
All
want
right.
to say no. So it follows Benedict Cumberbatch. As
You're not
he
even playing
searches-
along King of the Erics. You're not even like attempting to participate in
think
King of
what
the Erics.
Erics I know.
Wow, this is really
Eric.
pathetic. Yeah, go ahead. You were about to say it.
No, I can only think of the Eric that I went
You
to-
were
when I
literally
went to
about
middle
to
school
say recent guest of Glenn Clark
Well,
Radio.
Yeah, in his new media company, Eric Hosmer.
Thank you. Jesus Christ.
I don't think it's about him, though. That's why I didn't want to throw him out
Well,
there.
maybe it's about former Orioles slugger Eric Davis. Maybe that's who it's about, who heroically overcame cancer and was back in time for the playoffs. That would be a show worth watching. Oh, this is so sad. This is so sad.
Yeah, I got no
Do you
Erics.
do you have no?
I don't know many. I can't think of any Erics.
I'm the king of the Erics. This is pathetic. Remember Speedster Eric Young or Eric Young Jr.? Either one of them probably would have played here.
I remember Eric Young Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't have gone with one of those guys.
Oh no.
How about
I didn't remember.
How about former Los Angeles, I think Anaheim Angel at the time, Eric Ibar? Doesn't ring a bell.
Eric Ibar's
that doesn't do anything for you. That doing anything for you, huh? How about former closer Eric Gagne?
That's a good one.
That one checking in with you. God, get out of my face.
All right, so
You're
don't watch
pathetic.
Eric.
How about Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
You ever heard of him?
I have heard of him.
I can't do this.
I gotta work. All right, I'll work on my.
This
Erics.
was awful. This was one of the worst showings in the history of anything. It was right there. That's the type of content that we should be doing. King of the Erics. How about Eric the Red? That do anything for you?
Who's Eric the Red?
It's a Viking.
Oh really?
Yeah. Just go on with your day.
Well, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Maybe he wasn't a Viking. He was just an explorer.
Yeah, you were wrong. You don't know.
I still knew there was an Eric the Red.
You don't know who he is.
Get out of here.
So his 9-year-old son disappears, and then
Just playing the game by myself. You're still trying to tell me about this stupid show that nobody cares about.
it looks like it might be good. I don't
No,
know.
I'm sure. I'm so sure.
Eric is the name of the kid's imaginary friend. Benedict Cumberbatch is a puppeteer.
Is that all we're doing now? Is imaginary friends?
Yeah, I guess.
Is that what this summer is? The summer of imaginary friends.
So and then the puppet comes to life.
There's no chance that movie's good, right? Like there's
The
no
Imaginary
chance.
Friends
yeah.
one? I didn't think so. I didn't want to.
Didn't look like
my friend, because I went out to
the
LA,
former
he
Louisville
really-
center turned Buffalo Bill Eric Wood. Remember him? He was a guest on the show a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was doing Bill stuff, and whenever playing the Bills, I'd call Eric Wood. Just go on. Nobody cares about Eric. Nobody's watching it.
That's it.
That's it.
No one cares, but no one cares.
Oh, God,
That's
it's
why.
bad night. Bad night. All right, we gotta go.
Wrexham's
We gotta go. That is the only thing that matters. All right. Thanks today to Cole Irvin, who was amazing. Thanks also, of course, to Seth Johnson, as well as to Gregg Olson and to Jeffri Chadiha. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Stands in tomorrow.
Stands in tomorrow. We'll
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
All
Yeah.
right, stuff.
We'll be previewing the Rays in some
I
way,
do
shape,
think we have some stuff.
I do,
though. Like,
too.
I don't think it's one of those times where we're saying stuff and things. I think we do have some stuff and some things. We're just not fully confirmed, so we're not going to say it out loud yet. All right, thanks everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel. Visit Hagerstown in Washington County. A.J. Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, the Ed Block Courage Awards, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costa Sin, the MSAA, Maryland Jockey Club, Glory Days Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio.
None of them as big as Eric Cartman.
That would have been a good one. Would have been a really good one. Glad you thought of it 5 minutes after the game was over.
Me too. Better
How about,
have it than not.
you know what? How about Eric with an A, Armstead? Oh, damn.
Does that count?
Yeah, is his name Eric?
Jeffri Chadiha thinks the Ravens are going to take down the Chiefs. Of course, superfan Eric Stonestreet from
Modern Family. Did
Yeah.
you just search Eric's? Is that what
No.
just happened?
No.
Did you really just do that?
No.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be really ashamed of yourself for this. Have a great Thursday night.
Also,
yeah, just wants to throw in a bunch of Erics now.
Great comedian Eric Andre.
Eric Andre is a hell of a comedian. Why would the media do this? Yeah? You just want to name other Erics that you're reading off the internet because that's who you are now? No?
I came up with those.
Yeah, did you, though?
Yeah.
You came up with it all on your own?
Great musician Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton is a great musician. You're right. God, this is pathetic. All right, have a great...
So I went, yeah.
Oh?
I mean, I didn't last Eric.
No, you
didn't last three, actually.
How about Eric DaCosta? You heard of him? Yeah, you're familiar with his work? Go ahead, name another one without looking at your computer. You lost. Have a great Thursday night. Go, nobody. Duke sucks.